Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pueblo West Metro Board of Directors meeting. It is July 27th, 5:30 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please, Samantha?
Good evening, Board of Directors, district staff, and community members. Samantha Hardcastle, District Clerk, calling roll. President Axworthy,
Here.
Vice President Vickers,
Present.
Director Roberts,
Present.
Director Potter,
Here.
Director Pasternak.
Here.
Thank you, Sam. Next invocation by Bill Vickers.
If you bow your head with me, please. Heavenly Father, Lord, as we gather here tonight, we ask for especially comfort for Robert Hernandez as he can't be here tonight to do the invocation. His father is sick. We pray, Lord, that your hand would be upon his dad and that you would just be with that family as they go through this time. Just be with them and bless them. Lord, we also ask that as we meet here tonight to conduct the business on behalf of the residents of Pueblo West, we humbly ask for wisdom and guidance as we try to be good stewards. Guide us to good decisions while exhibiting grace and humility in executing our duties to be good stewards for this district to the best of our abilities. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, Bill. Pledge of Allegiance, Rodney.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, sir. Next, I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as it is set today on July 27th, 2026.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next up, public comments. Do we happen to have any?
We do not have any in person. We have two from online.
Okay.
This is from Kim Dillon at 1170 East Platteville Boulevard. She states, on Friday afternoon, a Facebook post from your organization invited me to make a public comment regarding my thoughts about the pool so that it could be included in tonight's meeting. First point. I have voted for and wholeheartedly support the efforts of the Pueblo West Metropolitan District indoor swimming pool project per the explanatory information provided on Facebook last week, but have one concern regarding construction plans. Today, Brandy Blankenship invited me to submit my question via email. Do the swimming pool plans include grounding and bonding of the pool and its components to prevent closures due to lightning strikes? All pools in this region make people exit the pool or close the facility due to lightning, with the exception of the Fountain Fort Carson High School pool, which was built with safety in mind regarding the inevitability of lightning strikes that randomly occur often during the summer. Second point, I am someone who travels to the Florence Municipal Swimming Pool and the FFCHS pool several times per week in search of deep water exercises not conveniently available in Pueblo. Although I do have a YMCA membership and have previously swam there and at the Mineral Palace and CSU Pueblo pools. Of the pools mentioned, operators of the FFCHS pool, a joint effort by the Pikes Peak Fountain YMCA and the school district, seem to really understand how to manage multiple events occurring simultaneously in the pool. I have been in the FFCHS pool while a swim meet / swim lessons, lap swimming, family swim, and independent water exercisers were all using the aquatic space at the same time. Have a look and please remember to be flexible in scheduling activities once the pool is open for business to maximize use by the most people.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then one more.
Yep.
This is from Dan Higgins. I came across the CDOT webpage for the I-25 Exit 108 Rest Area project and was surprised that it stated the location provides access to municipal water and sewer facilities. This location doesn't provide municipal water or sewer service as it is not within the district's water or sewer service plan. A map of the service area is included in our water master plan. Creating an Exit 108 bullet point in the strategic plan does not provide water and sewer facilities at this location. Regarding Pueblo West's well water, It has been understood since the 1970s that it is not economically feasible to treat the well water because of its poor quality. Please suggest CDOT remove or modify the Exit 108 webpage. That is it.
Christian, you got a comment towards that?
I mean, I can now, but typically we listen to the comments and then during our comments, we'll be able to respond.
That was the
Yes,
last.
sir. Yeah. So during our district comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll make a note to cover it though.
I have it too. All right, next up, approval of consent agenda. Is there any discussion regarding the consent agenda items?
I'm good. I make a motion. You got anything?
So hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Moving right along, we have a special presentation of 2 Fairway Estates, Orchard Spring Drive, presented by Lori Allen.
I recognize you. Yeah. Earlier, I didn't put two and two.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Is there a mic on?
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Okay, I just probably need to speak closer.
That won't actually amplify anything. It's just for the streaming services.
Okay. Thank you for having us tonight. My name is Lori Allen, and I have with me John Moser. I am a real estate agent, and John owns Adobe Construction. And together, him and I had paired with a vision, which we call 2 Fairway Estates. Next slide, please. So a little bit about our project and our vision. We purchased 5 acres along the second fairway of Desert Hawk Golf Course. The 5.02 acres consists of 3 different lots to equal the 5.02 acres. What we have in mind is to build single-family homes in that area. Our vision was to provide housing, affordable housing that is aesthetically matches the neighborhood. So we want to kind of blend in, but be a little different. But also, you know, I have to tell you the reason why that vision came up is I'm now an empty nester and I have this big, huge home that I don't want anymore. So my goal is to eventually simplify my living and still enjoy the golf course, but not have such a big house, but still have some community involvement. Next slide. It's a few aerial views of the acreage that we have. And if you look closely, you'll see where we're sitting today. It's not very far. You can probably, I don't know how good you are at baseball, or golf, you can probably hit your golf ball into that lot from here. Next slide. So our goal is to increase quality housing and inventory. I think a lot of people, the consensus is they do love Pueblo West. They love the community around here. We want to attract new people. Obviously, when we attract new people, we have revenue. You know, we support our local businesses in the area. Next. So what we need right now, we've basically been through the PUD with Pueblo County. They've approved all of that on a contingency. We need water. Based on my conversation with Alyssa with the utilities department, as it stands today, we have enough water for 12 homes between those 5 acres. But our goal is to build 26 homes. What we're here today is we would like to propose for Pueblo West Metro to grant us the option to purchase extra water, so basically cash in lieu of, so we can get our project started. Next. By doing so, we would open the gateway for extra jobs to be supported in our community. With that would be extra spending in our Pueblo West area. people would want to come and move out to Pueblo West. Obviously, higher assessed property values, additional tax revenues, increased water revenue for Pueblo West Metro. And then on top of that, if we were ever to go forward, we would still have to purchase about 26 tap fees. So if you do the math, it's well over $500,000 for you guys in revenue. This project will allow us to have growth without major infrastructure. So we wouldn't have to mess with a lot of the streets or street lights. I mean, we don't have any nearby to worry about. Next. And also, we've already kind of discussed the benefits, but the creative housing, this would align with a lot of businesses that are across the street. So if you're familiar, there are like dental offices, eye doctors, the gym, everything's in walking distance, Cattail Crossing, the library, the DMV, anything you would probably want and need. It's all walking distance. And I would like to see people utilize those trails even more. So I think that would also create a buzz in the nearby area. Next. So again, what we are here for is for you to allow us some water allocation to support our 26 homes. We would like to create a partnership with John and I and you as well in order to support our project. We would like your full support, and we are willing to do whatever within obviously guidelines to be able to purchase water. Next. To give you a little bit more of an idea, I have the top picture shows the land as it states today. Well, I took this in the winter, and then our site plan. You'll see how we've kind of, and this is not written in stone, but this is our idea. You'll see that there's 26 lots and then another road built in. Most of those lots are aligned the second fairway. And the homes that we would like to build are ranch style homes ranging anywhere from 1,500 square feet to 2,200 square feet. Part of our other vision is to offer rooftop decks for those that are aligning the golf course there. And obviously there will be homes across the street which back up to Orchard Springs Drive. Next. Obviously, we want to support growth within our community. We also want to support our community by bringing more revenue to our Pueblo West. I know there is a need for certain things that, I mean, I've been watching some of the meetings and little money won't, extra money won't hurt. But we obviously need the water. Next. We are committing to purchasing the water. Obviously, with your permission, we would also follow your requirements. And we promise to build aesthetically high quality homes. That doesn't mean high priced homes. Don't be mistaken by that. Next. This is just an idea of the type of homes that we are thinking of. They're more modern, obviously. We're going to have metal roofs, stonework, maybe some wood. Just to give you an idea, we're still in the works with floor plans and elevations. Next. As I explained to you, I have John Moser here. He has an extensive construction background. He does own Adobe construction, and he has a well-versed resume of lots of homes that I think he would be happy to take you through if you are interested. And myself, I've been in the business for over 26 years. And so I get a feel being in the real estate industry, kind of know what people are looking for, what people want. And the plus is when we first started having this vision, John and I have about 6 to 8 people that want to purchase today. And so if that tells you anything about our vision, I think people are really excited to have that in our community. Next. And just to reiterate, we are seeking approval to purchase additional water to serve all 26 units that we would like to build. Do you have any questions for me?
I got a few.
Sure.
Are you looking to purchase all the water for those 26 homes at one time?
I would need to in order to begin our project. And that was one of the conditions that Pueblo West is requiring me to have, as well as Pueblo County.
Okay, and are you trying to purchase all the taps at one time?
No, we'll probably do those as needed. Yes.
Okay.
And
What was
with
the
that,
square footage on those built
anywhere from 15 to 2,200.
with a basement or without?
So
We were planning on just doing crawl spaces, making
Okay.
them zero entrance, so it would be more for ADU, for older people retiring, but we could put a basement on it. Oh, sorry. We were originally thinking about just doing them on crawl spaces, just to make them handicap accessible. There would be no steps going in and out, but we could put a basement if somebody wanted one.
So as a kind of a planned community, are you gonna be putting, like a privacy fence up for all the lots?
that is definitely an option to do. I would highly recommend it. And to kind of just piggyback of what you were asking about the homes, we are also going to propose xeriscape landscaping.
Okay.
Just so that we don't have a bunch of lawns to water and maybe artificial turf.
And as close as they are you going with a zero lot line?
No, we're thinking it'd be like 5 foot between on each side.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
So this is along Orchard Springs, which is the street that runs between like House Dental and, okay, so
Yes.
we're looking at the land that is to the east,
West.
west?
To the west. Between the golf course and
Oh,
Orchard
on the
Springs.
other side, okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it says here you have there's, and maybe Alyssa, you can clarify this. It says current water allocation of 1.2 acre foot per lot, and there's water available for 12 homes. So if they wanted to build 12 homes, they could build 12 homes without purchasing water. So they're not looking to buy water for 26 homes. They're looking to buy water for
14.
14. Okay.
Thanks for clarifying that, Bill.
Anyone else?
I would just add, I think in general, I'm in favor of it. I know Lori and I've walked through several of John's homes, sold a couple of them. Excuse me, getting over a cold, and they're really nice homes. It's not your basic cookie cutter house. So that's it.
And we got enough water? I'm sure the public wants to know, we got enough water?
So, yeah, so I would encourage you, you guys to stick around for the rest of the board meeting. We're actually gonna be talking about some of those topics. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the next phase would be to try to develop an LOI that can in turn be brought to the board and then approved or disapproved and then move forward with the contract. Is that correct?
Yes, that's pretty accurate as far as next steps. As far as the question, while it is a different one, what I would say is that we have only done cash in lieu in one option so far. It's been for commercial development, the KRF project Northwest, the King Supers. And that is one that had commercial value towards it. This would be the first time the board would be considering one that's residential of nature. So that return on investment, that is not something been considered. So that would be a question of what precedent does that set as well.
First of all, second of all, I want to thank you for bringing this to us. I'm an advocate of increasing jobs and residents here in Pueblo West. I like your presentation. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do you have any questions for us?
I
before
just
we-
have one final comment.
Sure.
John and I are both residents of Pueblo West, so that tells you that we do really do care about our community. We want, obviously what we build here, we'd have to live with. And so we are proud Pueblo Westans, if that's a word. And then the second thing is when we talked about water taps, I understand our goal is not to wipe you out with 26 water taps in 1 year. So we are willing to even just put those in phases per year so that we're not taking all your taps. Because that's not our goal too, because we're all about, just taking what we need at that time. So
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I do have some, sorry.
Sure.
Worst case scenario, obviously you don't build homes, right? Best worst case scenario is something happens is we're not able to provide the water. What would be your best worst case scenario?
that is a great question. Since that property is zoned for mixed use to R5, I don't like to do this, but it would be multifamily. And I don't know that anybody would want that there. I would like to see Pueblo West thrive. It could be commercial as well. But I see a need for housing more than anything.
Right. What about just doing the 12 homes on bigger lots? Is that possible as well?
That's obviously what we've talked about, but aesthetically, I don't think it would look right.
Right. No, that's
Yeah.
all.
Because the neighbor, I guess I should mention, you have another HOA community on the one side, and then on the other side, there's a 4-unit condo. We kind of just want to make sure we blend in,
It's the
keep,
aesthetics of it.
yes,
right?
and keep property values higher,
No. Okay.
So we kind of think about that. And obviously, whoever purchases, we want them to have resale value that's feasible. So,
No, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, one more.
Just have some comments. Yeah, I think it's a good plan and a good idea. I'm going to throw out some opposition, not my personal opposition, but so are there a lot of homes for sale right now in Pueblo West?
There are.
Okay.
Sometimes price is the driving force to whether those that stay on the market or not. In my mind, and Chris can probably attest to this, sometimes people's pricings are like what it used to be 5 years ago, and that's really not the case. So we usually have to talk our sellers down to reduce their prices. And obviously, we can't forecast what those are going to be like when we start to build, but we do have a price point in mind. Yes, to answer your question, yes, there are a lot of homes for sale, but it's not that people don't want to move out here. They want to be able to make it affordable.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
They love it out here, but they can't afford a house at this point.
The other thing that Christian mentioned was the cash in lieu for commercial ventures. Of course, when a commercial venture comes in, we do that. We're getting a lot of sales tax revenue, potential sales tax revenue from a operation like that. With homes, and I've said this before, and I've gone to a couple seminars on it, especially in Pueblo West, our tax rate is 20 cents per dollar is what we get property tax wise. So property tax is not an incentive really for Pueblo West to build homes because it costs more for infrastructure upkeep in what happens because we don't get all the property tax. That being said, I'm just trying to say there's a balancing that goes on with water, incentives, what we can gain back from doing that. Our position of water right now, we're struggling with. So it's a great idea. I'm not saying it's not a great idea. We just have a lot of things to overcome.
I hear your point, but when you bring 26 homeowners and their families to Pueblo West, they're also pouring into our community, whether that's at our local shops or at Bella Pasta or at the golf course or, the place next door. They're also pouring into our community to make sure that they are also thriving. And in a way, it does come back to you in some sort of way,
To some degree.
Agreed. And
To some degree.
but it's
I'll
better
advocate
than
for you
not.
too. The road is going to be there whether these houses are there or not. It's still going to cost us money for that road.
That's
Those
correct.
water lines are still going to be there whether there's
Yes.
houses there or not. It's still going to cost us money. So, and our revenue for Metro District is driven on property taxes. So, it's needed, and growth is needed in order to provide more services to the communities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next up, and again, we welcome you to stick around for the rest of the meeting. Water resource reallocation by Marcos Reyes.
Can you go to page 1, please? Good evening, President Axworthy, esteemed board members. My name is Marcos Reyes. I'm the Economic Support Specialist. And what we have here today is a discussion, 2026 Strategic Water Proposal. Quick summary is strategically rezoning selected R4 and R5 lots, our properties to R1, and then coupled with the removal of water dedication requirements for commercially non-viable properties could free up as much as 129.42 acre-feet of water resources. These reallocated water resources could be then made available for future development needs or utilized through a cash in lieu program, creating both operational flexibility and potential revenue opportunities. So I've broken this down into 3 zones. Zone 1 would have 47.1 acre-feet that's currently allocated. Zone 2 has 40.32 acre-feet currently allocated, and Zone 3 has 42 acre-feet currently allocated. Next slide, please. So basically, a R1 single-family home based on 11,000 gallons of usage a month is 0.4 acre-feet. So when you have an R4 multifamily duplex and triplex, they dedicate or allocate 0.9 acre-feet of water, and that's based on the water department's usage. And an R5 multifamily / office, triplex, and apartments, they allocate 1.2 acre-feet per lot. And then, of course, with a commercial B4, that's 1.68. Next slide, please. So these are the Zone 1 lot locations. Now, these have been up and down before the board for different prospects and things like that. All of these are R4 and R5 lots. Next slide, please. So all of the R4 lots, which are 35, have 31.5 acre-feet allocated to them. All of the R5 lots, which are 37, have 44.4 acre-feet of water allocated to them. If we rezone the R4 to R1, we would go from a 31.5 acre-feet dedication to a 14 acre-foot dedication, saving 17.5 acre-feet, which is a little over 55% increase. R5 would go from 44.4 to 14.8 acre-feet, which would save 29.6. So just quick numbers, 0.9 acre-feet is 293,266 gallons, and the proposed would reduce down to 130,340,000 acre-feet of water. Please don't make me do the R5. It's on the board. All right, so let's talk about Zone 2. Next slide, please. The Zone 2 lots are going to be over by Kathmandu. Now, these are all commercially, I call them non-viable lots because there's very limited infrastructure here. There is water lines, there are sewer lines. However, you would have to go a little over 3 miles to put that sewer main into one of our sewer mains. I looked at Beehive, there's nothing within 3 miles there. So basically every one of those lots would have to be sold by one individual to make it commercially viable for them. They'd have to put roads in and everything else like that. And the roads are going to be determined by the county of what is going to be used. In other words, what are they putting there? It may require a larger road or a smaller road. So these are ones that I'm looking at for Zone 2. Next slide, please. So water allocation by land use, the 24 lots there, we have allocated 40.32 acre-feet. So if we used a resolution, that would provide us the flexibility to modify or reverse the increase in our water resources if the circumstance warrants. If we buy more water, if they do put something there, that is completely up to the board. If we were to reallocate that water, we would actually be able to put 40.32 acre-feet. So that would be water that we could reallocate potentially somewhere else. And it is 1.68 acre-feet of water. Next slide. Zone 3. These are lots that are over there by Cat's Poorhouse or along Spalding. And some of these are going to be by Joe Martinez, Oasis Church, across from Civic Center Park and things like that. Most of these lots are 0.3 acres. They're 50 by 100 feet. They're not really... I guess originally the design was you buy multiple lots, you build your business. If you grow, you buy the next lot in order. I'm can't understand why we had such small lots there. But almost every one of those lots is owned by someone different. These lots would still be available for sale. What we would do is we would just have it be put in there that they would have to vacate the lot line and they would have to vacate it to the property that they own. So we could theoretically still sell the land, but it just wouldn't have water allocated to it. Next slide, please. There is 42 acre feet assigned to these 25 lots. So if we were to reallocate that, of course, we would have 42 additional acre feet of water that we could potentially use elsewhere. And again, this would be done by a resolution. Next slide, please. All right, so for zone 1, we would go from 75.9 acre feet of water used down to 28.8. That would save us 47.1 acre feet of water. Zone 2, we would go from 40.32 acre feet of water that's allocated to 0. And zone 3 would go 42 acre feet of water to 0. Now, these actions would potentially free up approximately 129.42 acre feet of water for future reallocation opportunities or potential revenue generation through cash in lieu of payments. Next slide. That is my end of presentation. I am open for questions.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
These calculations all based upon 1 year timeframe? Oh, I see a head shaking back.
Thank you. So, yeah.
So yes, okay, great.
So once we reallocate the water, we could use that somewhere else, and that lot will be, we do have the potential to reallocate that water to that lot. And if we were to sell it, it would be with a stipulation under the deed restriction that they would have to vacate that lot line, like I said, and combine it with their lot. So they would still have 1.68 acre feet of water to do something with.
And I
Because-
know all these areas that you showed us towards the end of your presentation are lots that are stagnant. There's not really much moving on them.
No. I can let you know that the lots on Kathmandu, I don't potentially ever see those.
Yeah,
It would have to be few. There's the ones over there by Cat's Poorhouse and stuff like that. There's a lot of times I'll have people looking for smaller lots, and then they start looking at those and they're like, oh, I can't do much with 50 foot. Just to give you guys an example, this building is 80 feet across.
Yeah.
The one next to us, Deli Dave's, that building is 40 feet, but that lot, including their drive-through and the breezeway in between, is 60 feet. And these lots are 50 feet across. So, I mean, you know, in order to account for parking, for setbacks and everything like that, even if there's a 0 setback, you know, it's going to be really difficult to put
They're made
something.
for strip malls.
Yeah.
Huh?
They're made for strip malls.
Basically, I mean, that's really the only thing I can see there, but
Yeah,
A
that
whole
was,
lot of them.
yeah.
that was his original intent,
Yeah.
was have centralized parking that you walk to the shops. So you put a building on the lot. That was McCulloch's.
The thing
design.
is he's done that. Like over here by the VFW, we have that. We have a whole section that we own that is it's a parking parking common. Thank you. That's parking in common, so that they can buy those smaller lots, put their building there, and they have the ability to park. They have that in front of over here in Copper River. That whole spot up there that's cemented, that's all parking or common. So every one of those lots that's owned actually has dedicated space for parking. So if someone was to actually put a building there, they could utilize the parking that's already there. These do not. And that was one of the reasons why I looked at them. None of the lots, we do have lots here for sale. Those were not included because of the fact that we have the parking in common. So I do know that there's a high probability that potentially I could sell one of those. But these would be a hard sell. So if this is something that I have a board consensus of, we could easily have a resolution placed. I've worked with the water department initially with this. We have guidance from them on how they'd like to see it. We could potentially present something for a discussion item next meeting and potentially have a resolution for an action item the meeting after that, or that meeting if you so choose.
Personally, I'd definitely like to hear from our water folks before anything else. You guys want to jump in now or you want to wait?
Well, what was your question? What do you? I
Oh.
mean, as far as from the water department, again, Kevin Niles, Director of Utilities, we support this as long as we have control over those water allocations. Basically, like Marcos had said, that's gonna free us up to have a little bit more resources available to the community.
Mhm.
In case we do have folks coming in for cash in lieu, we can open up those conversations and we can bring that information to the board.
Yep.
So from a utility standpoint, we do support this because we don't believe that these are viable lots, that water is ever gonna actually go to a purpose. If we can reallocate that water to a specific purpose, that's better off for our.
What's the long-term ramifications? That's what I'm worried about.
So the only one that I could see that wouldn't be easily reversible would be the rezoning from R4 and R5 to R1. However, everything that we sold there has been single-family homes. The builder that I've spoken to, and also multiple builders, but the main one will never build a duplex again because they're unable to sell it. That was something that I haven't seen. I can get probably potentially numbers from community development. However, those, if somebody did want to put something there, could easily change the zoning. Now, also through UDC, they can't put duplexes on them. They would just have to go through our COA for a variance. Because UDC does allow a duplex on an R1, or actually it's called help.
Rural residential?
So the old R1 for UDC, actually I have that on here.
I was thinking it's rural residential, but I'm not sure.
Yes, RR, I think it's rural residential. So that does allow for a duplex potentially on there. It just would have to go through the variance procedure for the community, community of architecture.
Okay, so that's that one area, that one zone. What about for like Kathmandu? Let's say we're 20 years from now, we're nearing.
That's the great thing about doing it with a resolution, because all it is a simple board action. So we would just come back to the board and go, hey, we bought water. We would like to reallocate water back to these lots. That is the one thing I tried to think about the hardest when I put this together. What is the easiest thing that we could potentially undo?
Yep.
And, you know, the whole deed restriction, all that came up, and I'm like, why are we going to go through all that? We could easily just do a resolution through the board to reallocate that water elsewhere. If we had an opportunity to sell a large portion of those lots to one individual, then we would just come back to the board. We would make that presentation, and it would be up to the board again if they wanted to reallocate the water to those lots and go on from there. So that is easily reversible.
Good answer. So,
Do you mind if I
yeah, go.
to share? Because I do want to share, I do appreciate a lot of the work that went into this analysis, because I think it's been one of our areas, a stone unturned essentially. I apologize, Christian J. Hine, District Manager. One of the stones that we want to unturn is figure out how to potentially allocate water, especially when we recognize either the strip mall situation where there's multiple owners across the way and you're not going to see development unless they all connect, or the places as Marcos identified as unviable, just because of the infrastructure costs that are associated there. But to the point of the long-term impacts and ramifications, I think there are some really good questions about that from the utility aspect. Figuring out what our total allocation and bringing that down is a valuable thing to do. So that way, to the point of, do we allocate it elsewhere, commercial, residential, whatever it might be, great. Understanding long-term impacts and understanding whether resolutions or other types of mechanisms are able to address that is something I think we do want to make sure we flesh out and consider, because worst case scenario, thinking about how people buy property or district board and staff turnover, for instance, a resolution is something that doesn't necessarily always get codified with the land, if I'm correct. Carl, I don't know if you help me out with that. But the idea of it then being lost to the time of we stopped allocating those resources to that, something happens in the future and it's sold, could be one of those questions we want to make sure we answer before we pursue that. I did want to just confirm.
So you're just saying we need a mechanism to identify the fact that
Yes, we want to make sure that there is a full.
It's already in place. We've already discussed it. I've already discussed with Mr. Niles when we initially presented this to him, what mechanism we would use, how we would go ahead and document that, how we would preserve that. And I even was like, you guys can keep track of that if you want. So no, it will be business administration, the economic support specialist. We do have our drive on that. So that was a consideration. We did discuss that, sir, and we did have a solution for that, so that if those properties were to be sold, that it would be noted on any of the properties, on any of the information that I have is always going to have an asterisk or a note to that. We will have a list to that. So if I decide to leave in 2 days, 6 months, 2 years, it will still be there. If there is, like I said, turnover, there will be a way that it will be in a shared drive that is not lost with me. And any maps that I do currently have, we could also note that on those maps that are live, meaning that they'll go to the next person in line and they will have a notation on there. Reallocated water, and there will be a list for that. So we have considered that, sir.
Sure. And as I said, I'd be careful about that because the recordation, if it's not on the actual property, somebody who does purchase that. If the board doesn't know, or if that does get lost, that could come to a reality of somebody purchasing that lot eventually, and then that's on the resolution that we have to dig up. So just being cognizant of the risk associated with it.
So in terms of, just to put things in frame of reference, so it's like noting the mineral or water rights for a piece of land, right?
That would go with property typically. I believe that's on their actual property documents when title essentially.
Could you include something like this into that? kind of
That's the
document?
question I want to answer. If it was denoted, essentially, just like our covenants are, that shows, and it should show up on the title work. Whether somebody reads it or not, that's on them. But the idea of it being something that then becomes a resolution, for instance, when we've had resolutions for specific properties in the district where they have purchased water rights, and they should have it, and then going back and looking for those documents and seeing the challenges, that's what I'm worried about. And it's not a knock on a position or a person or any of the departments. It's just a historical process.
And I appreciate your optimism, but I echo what Christian is saying, because we have spent past boards, the past two that I've been on, it's been an inordinate amount of time fixing problems that were easy that could have been reversed, but they became problems. So I think it really needs to be hashed out and really thought out. I need more time to think about this because there's several things that are going through my mind. One is the 0.4 acre feet calculation. So that's 11,000 gallons a month. That's about a third of an acre foot per year. So we should be getting 3 houses per acre foot. Do we calculate our houses that way now? Because I know we were doing it with 2 or 2.5.
1.2.
So-
Last presentation.
So
It
That-
was,
I just want to make sure that's
yeah, I did
a
look at
correct
that.
statement.
I did look at that. I initially thought it was 2 to 3 and I went on a high end of 4. So I did contact, Elissa, probably what, 2 or 3 months ago about that, when we were talking about average home use. So, and I did overestimate a little bit on that as far as what is allocated. It can go down to 2 or 3, but I went on 11,000 gallons a month. I took my water bill with 4 people with don't know how to not take a shower for 20 minutes each and added a little bit to it. I actually padded 10% to my water bill for an average. So
Yeah, I'm not disputing that calculation. What I'm saying is instead of two houses per acre foot, are we now getting 3 houses per acre
Oh.
foot? That has a big impact on our water. I mean, if we've got 9,000 acre feet, these are hypothetical numbers, so we should get a lot more houses at 3 houses per acre foot than we do 2, correct?
So our water allocation that we set up at the beginning of the year, it has specific numbers for commercial, multifamily, and duplex. We did not set a number within our, within those rules for single-family development because it varies so significantly. Within our data, however, we are seeing the average at that 0.4.
Okay.
However, when we talk about water, we always err on the side of caution. And that's why we often say 2 houses per acre foot, to make sure we have that room, because we do not track our residential properties the way that we track and dedicate our commercial properties, where we're looking at each one every year, making sure they're staying within there.
You could have a 2-bedroom versus a 5.
What the majority of our majority of our water use is single family residence. Would you not agree? Out here?
Yeah.
Fair. And I do want to say, like, the overall work and the knowledge of it, great. Because I think it is a good thing we're tracking and trying to figure out how to make it effective. The only other thing I wanted to clarify, or from my understanding, zone 1, we own all that property. Is that correct?
we own all the properties in every zone, sir.
And zone 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything that's on there, every one I use, we own, like all the little blue italics on there. Every lot that I listed, we do own that.
Gotcha. Then that doesn't create a complication.
So
as
it's
far
just
as-
our property. It doesn't affect anybody that owns property in.
Correct. It's just our
They
property.
can still get water if they want water without a board approval.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, it's a commercial, so I don't know that. answer.
Well,
All the other properties
Yeah.
have their allocations.
Okay.
set up.
thank you.
So it sounds like we work out the details regarding permanency of whatever changes we make. get that ironed out and then come to the board again with potential resolution.
So you'd like to see those things ironed out and have it presented as a discussion item?
Do you guys agree?
I agree.
I think it's a great idea. I think you did a great job. This is, I mean, talk about thinking outside the box. This is like phenomenal. So great job. I like it overall, but yeah, I need to digest it more and see what you come up with, but overall, I like it a lot. And this is really good. I like it a lot.
I'll have a
Right.
conversation with Carl tomorrow, on Tuesdays with Carl, and I will run that information by him. And I'll get legal working on what they think is best, so I can put something together and I can bring them back to the board in a later date as a discussion item with a resolution.
Yeah.
Got any idea? Oh, go ahead,
No,
Rod.
I was gonna say, I was gonna piggyback off of Christian. I agree with what he's saying. I just, I don't know how we can't figure this out without putting ourselves in a corner somewhere where we're fighting back out. I don't understand why it can't be a
Yeah.
simple process, but, yeah, that's why we want to make sure we're doing it right if we do it. And doing it to where we have some sort of an out if it's something that needs to happen. So being smart about it, that's what I think we all want to be thinking.
To your knowledge, do we have any other areas within the Metro District that this could apply to? That'd be beneficial?
Not that I would be comfortable with, because I think that those would be, I could potentially sell those if need be. They're viable locations. There's we have 2 or 3 lots here, 2 or 3 lots elsewhere that I did not include with this, because I do know that we could potentially have them. There's one literally right by the aquatic center. I specifically did not include that because we could potentially sell that to someone for a strip mall. If worse comes to worse, we need more parking. There's something that we could do with that. That one's viable. So the things like that are not included. So.
Okay.
Have you thought about vacating some of the lot lines to make those smaller lots bigger so they are sellable?
We only have one location, and that's by Kathmandu's. We do have 5 lots together, but like I said, when I looked at Beehive, the closest sewer line was over 3 miles. It's like 3.1, 3.2. So correct me if I'm wrong, but if a developer wanted to purchase that, they would have to run that sewer line to tap it in, correct? So they would have to do an extension for 3 miles. So at that point, I don't know how commercially viable that is. And then if they did that, that will put them off of one of the side streets. And because of the county will ensure that they have access off a lower classification road, they're gonna have to do roadway improvements because there is no road. So they would actually have to put that road in. So when you start looking at the cost of everything there, then that would get high. Now, the great thing about this is once we satisfy the board on how we would keep track of these, if a developer did come 2 years, 6 months, 3 years, then we could bring those properties and have the board reallocate water to them. So there is,
Assuming that becomes the process.
yeah, I mean, it just, there's a way we could do that.
I
And
just want to make sure we're safe in the future.
Yeah.
that's why.
Looks like there's some lots over there off of Palmer, Idaho Springs and Palmer Lake and that can be vacated to make bigger lots.
As Bill
there's
mentioned,
nothing that was side by side.
Then these blue dots don't mean anything?
They do, but
There's a
sometimes
lot of owners.
they do, but the thing is you have the lots are 50 foot, so the blue dots look surprisingly close. I went through every single one and I checked.
Okay.
There's a lot. of
I made sure
Okay.
there was nothing in that we didn't own what was next to them. There are a couple that we do, and they're not on there. So I trust me, I dotted every I on this one.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
yeah, just to reiterate what Bill said, our actions today have consequences later, and we've been dealing with that for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And certainly it'll continue to be done after Bill and I are gone, but yeah, we just want to make sure we do it right.
My goal is to make this
Thought through.
seamless, so we don't have those issues 3 years from now.
Absolutely.
It's a good plan, though.
Yep.
Good plan.
Good job. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen,
Sorry, can I have one more comment, word
Sure.
for thought, or food for thought, I guess? One thing about the reallocated water, that is something we instated this year, doesn't necessarily mean it's free water.
Right.
Because it's that build out or those allocated numbers are based on build out numbers. So just a word of caution, it's
There you go.
as echoing as Kevin said, the water department very supportive of this idea, but just keeping in mind that the reallocated water isn't free water. It does give us some room, some breathing room, but just more conversations in that department.
Yeah. That's,
What do you
I'm
mean?
glad you brought that up because I was gonna ask that and I forgot. So if somebody buys a lot that has not, that we've taken the water away from, do they now have to buy water to get to it? To get it? to
We were gonna limit those lots, like if someone came up and said, I wanna buy this lot, we would advise them that that lot does not have water allocated. We were potentially looking to contact the owner on each side and say, hey, here's a smoking hot deal potentially on this lot, if you'd like to buy it, with the caveat that you have to vacate it to your lot. So it would become one of theirs, so their lot would become commercially more viable or worth more to them, and it gets it out of our hands. So we were looking at that.
But right now, the way it stands, if somebody wants to build on that lot, as long as we have the taps, they get the water.
It has no water allocation for that long.
But the
So that's one of
infrastructure,
that's one of the things that we need to work on, because to take it away now and then have to buy it back, the potential person to have to buy it back.
If you.
no, we would just reallocate it back. It would just come to the board.
Well, like,
Well, the thought process is 10 years from now or whatever, when people actually want those lots, hopefully we have more storage, hopefully we have more water rights, hopefully we have some well development, et cetera, to increase our water portfolio so that it's no longer an issue.
Hopefully.
It would just literally be this exact thing right here. Hey, we have someone who wants to buy it. Is the board willing to reallocate this water with the condition of the sale?
And doesn't stall our current progress. That's always a concern. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Marco.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Kevin, you were up next, sir. Joint maintenance facility.
Good evening, President Axworthy, members of the board, Kevin Niles, Director of Utilities. Before we begin, I'd like to make a brief statement. I don't believe I did a very good job of speaking to the joint maintenance facility. Looking back, I focused too much on the project itself and not enough on explaining why the staff believes this is necessary. That responsibility falls on me. Tonight, I'd like to correct that. This presentation is about convincing you to build another building. It's about explaining the operational challenges we face every day, how those challenges have developed over time, and discussing why long-term planning today is much more fiscally responsible than waiting till these deficiencies become operational failures. I also want to recognize that this board has made consistent, emphasized fiscal responsibility. Staff shares that philosophy. Every recommendation we bring forward to evaluate through the lens of protecting taxpayer resources while maintaining reliable utility services. Tonight is simply about providing information and requesting direction regarding the district's long-term operational strategy. Next slide, please. This presentation has 6 primary objectives. First, I'd like to walk you through the documented deficiencies our current facilities have. Second, explaining how 20 years of district growth has gradually outgrown facilities that were designed for a much smaller organization. Third, I'd like to share feedback directly from the employees who work in these facilities every day. Fourth, discuss the operational risk associated with maintaining the status quo. Fifth, compare 2 realistic paths for the district that the district can pursue to move forward. And finally, request direction from the board regarding long-term planning. Again, this is not a request to approve construction tonight. It is a request to begin planning before these issues become an emergency. Next slide, please. Over the last 2 decades, Pueblo West has experienced remarkable growth. We've added thousands of customers. We've expanded miles of water and sewer infrastructure. We've increased equipment, vehicles, employees, and maintenance responsibilities. But one thing has remained largely unchanged: the facilities that support these operations. Today's operations are dramatically different than they were when these facilities were originally developed. This presentation isn't really about buildings. It's about whether the infrastructure supporting the employees can keep pace with the infrastructure those employees are responsible for protecting every day. Next slide, please. Before discussing deficiencies, I think it's important to acknowledge the board's perspective. I understand there are concerns about government expansion. I understand the concerns about large capital expenditures. Those concerns are entirely appropriate. Staff is not suggesting we build something because it's nice to have. We're saying we've reached the practical limits of facilities that were never intended to support today's operations. Planning today gives the board time to evaluate options, time to budget responsible, and time to avoid making expensive decisions under emergency conditions. Next slide. So why now? The reasons we discussed today are simple. Growth never stops creating operational demands. Every new subdivision means additional water mains, additional sewer mains, additional valves, hydrants, lift stations, service connections, meters, equipment, and employees. Every one of those assets must be maintained for decades. Our infrastructure has continued to expand. Our operational facilities have not. Eventually, those two lines cross. We believe we have reached that point. Next slide, please. Originally, these facilities primarily supported the water treatment operations. Over time, they became home to collections and distribution. Fleet maintenance, building services, storage, inventory, additional employees, additional vehicles. None of that occurred through poor planning. It happened gradually as the district grew. We've simply adapted available space wherever possible. Today, we've reached the point where adapting space is no longer enough. Next slide. Let's talk about the employees. Our break room was designed for a much smaller workforce. Supervisors share office space because there isn't enough offices. We don't have dedicated training room. We don't have adequate meeting space. Emergency response meetings often have to occur where space can be found. Wastewater employees often lack adequate shower facilities after sewer emergencies. Those aren't conveniences. They're basic operational expectations throughout modern public work organizations. Next slide, please. This may be the most important of all the slides. Collections employees routinely work around raw sewage, confined spaces, biological hazards, chemical exposures, and contaminated mud. After all those emergencies, employees deserve an appropriate decontamination facility before returning home to their families. Today, that isn't always possible. Health and safety should always remain one of our highest priorities. Next slide. Today, the district has no centralized warehouse. Much of our inventory remains outdoors. Hydrants, pipes, valves, electrical components, repair clamps, emergency repair materials are subject to the sun, snow, and rain, and also temperature swings. This all shortens the useful life of the equipment we have already purchased. Protecting inventory protects taxpayer dollars. Next slide, please. Equipment storage has become increasingly difficult. The maintenance yard has become congested. Equipment has also have to be moved multiple times to just access another piece of equipment. This isn't a dedicated lay down area. Tool storages are scattered. These inefficiencies cost time every single day. Next slide. Fleet operations have improved tremendously. The move to Del Oro was absolutely worthwhile. Our mechanics have done an outstanding work there, but we also recognize this facility was never designated to become the district's permanent maintenance campus. It remains a retrofit. It has become a permanent solution. Substantial additional investments will be necessary. Next slide. One concern extends beyond the maintenance operations. Maintenance currently occupies land that the water treatment will eventually need. As Pueblo West continues to grow, additional treatment infrastructure will be eventually needed. Filters, chemical systems, electrical upgrades, emergency generation, treatment resiliency, and planning maintenance elsewhere preserves options for future treatment expansion. Next slide, please. Water treatment facilities are critical infrastructure. Today's daily traffic includes vendors, contractors, fleet, collections crews, material deliveries, and separating out maintenance activities from treatment operations significantly improves security. It also improves employee safety and access control. Next slide, please. Even our parking lot illustrates a large issue. The asphalt is nearing replacement. The parking is limited, traffic circulation is congested, equipment is parked wherever spaces will exist. Before making significant investments in existing sites, staff believes it's important to determine if the district's long-term direction. Next slide. So talking with the employees, rather than relying solely on management opinion, we've asked the employees. Their responses were remarkably consistent. Safety, storage, warehouse, showers, break room, organization, all affect morale. They would also like a meeting space. These concerns came directly from the employees performing the work on a day-to-day basis. Next slide, please. Ultimately, this is much larger than a building. These deficiencies impact recruitment, retention, employee morale, operational deficiencies, emergency response, asset protection, long-term maintenance costs. Everything we've discussed eventually affects the level of service our customers receive. Next slide, please. A purpose-built joint maintenance facility solves these operational deficiencies through and throughout design. Fleet maintenance, warehouse, equipment storage, administrative offices, training rooms, conference rooms, showers, locker rooms, lay-down yard, fuel station, vehicle wash area. These aren't luxuries. These are components commonly found in the modern public works maintenance campus. Next slide, please. Some of the strategic benefits. The long-term benefits are substantial. It improves employee safety, improves operational efficiency, better inventory control, reduced equipment deterioration, better emergency response, improved employee recruitment and retention, enhanced security, and perhaps most importantly of all, it preserves the water treatment plant for future site expansion. Next slide, please. So the staff fully recognizes the board may decide another direction is preferable. If that's the decision, we will absolutely continue moving forward. However, the district will still need to make significant investments in multiple facilities. Those improvements address today's deficiencies. They do not solve tomorrow's space limitations. Next slide. 529 South Avenida del Oro. The former fire station has served as fleet operations well. However, its site within the established residential neighborhood, expansion opportunities are limited, noise impacts increase as operations grow, additional investments will need to be required. Staff views this site as a contingency option rather than the district's ideal long-term maintenance campus. Next slide, please. So kind of the long-term planning timeline. Notice the proposed timeline above. Nothing happens overnight. Planning begins in 2027 with a needs assessment, conceptual layouts, cost estimates, funding strategies. Only after several years of planning would construction even be considered. This approach allows future boards to make informed decisions with best available information. Next slide, please. Tonight, the staff respectfully requests the board reconsider the joint maintenance facility as a preferred long-term operational strategy. If the board agrees, staff requests authorization to include this project in future capital improvement planning and begin a formal facility needs assessment. If the board ultimately chooses another direction, staff requests authorization to continue improving the fleet facility while addressing the operational deficiencies we discussed tonight. Either path requires investment. The question is whether we invest in a comprehensive long-term solution or continue making incremental improvements to facilities that have already reached capacity. Next slide, please. I'd like to conclude with one final thought. The Pueblo West Metropolitan District has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in water and wastewater infrastructure over the years. Every day, our employees are responsible for operating, maintaining, and protecting those assets on behalf of our customers. Those employees deserve a facility that is safe, functional, and capable of supporting work as we ask them to perform. The Joint Maintenance Facility is not expanding government. It's about ensuring the operational infrastructure supporting our employees keep pace with the critical infrastructure they maintain. Planning today gives the district flexibility. It allows future boards to make thoughtful, fiscally responsible decisions instead of reacting to operational failures. President Axworthy, members of the board, thank you for your time, your thoughtful consideration, and your continued commitment to the Pueblo West Metropolitan District. Before I conclude, I'd also like to offer special thanks to Geneva Steckman. Geneva devoted a tremendous amount of time and effort developing and organizing these presentation slides. Her professionalism, creativity, and attention to detail transformed a large amount of technical information into a clear, organized, and professional presentation. So thank you to Geneva for outstanding work in helping us develop this presentation. So if I have any questions, I'm available.
Go around the room. Let's start with Chris.
All right, thanks, Kevin. So back in May, after you did that first presentation, I kind of hit you with a bunch of stuff afterwards. So I appreciate you saying what you were gonna do, which is put together something like this to explain the why. Because for me, it kind of came out of left field, so I appreciate that. And I was kind of combing through, I brought that email up to comb through to see if, and it seems like you answered pretty much everything that I had. I guess the one thing I'd say after today so far, and I might have more to say after everybody else talks, but I'm definitely not in favor of the Avenida Del Oro location transforming into anything larger than it is, or it has to be. I think that's it for now. So thank you, though.
Rodney?
I'm good for right now, thank you.
Sir?
Sorry. Appreciate the presentation. Much better laid out than the last time we discussed it. I understood where you were coming from. It's not an easy task to facilitate certain situations when they've gone so long without being addressed. And then once again, the boards are stuck with trying to move forward in a better direction. And it can be hard when you're trying to, well, if it's right, then it's the right thing to do. And, but again, I appreciate this presentation. And I really do think that the people that serve the community deserve a little bit better than what is given to them for the most part. But and depending on what the rest say, and what goes on, I really do like your thought process and moving forward with these kind of ideas. So thank you.
Greg?
Great presentation. I don't think the Avenida Del Oro location is good either, but on the same token, I pulled up on Onyx, our current location with our 3 water towers. We got plenty of property there to expand. And to me, a more centralized location with the equipment, okay, is gonna create a department with more unity and infrastructure. and of those assets being nearby, not having to drive to them and get those assets. As you were saying, we need storage. We need places to park the vehicles without having to move them. I think we could easily access those off of, the Palmer Lake road there as it runs in front of the utilities. Do you have a strategic prioritization plan for the structures and what kind of square footage you're looking for? And what kind of structure you're looking for? Is steel buildings, insulated?
So as far as the structure is concerned, we haven't got to that point. The original presentation was we had 3 locations planned out for a possible JMF. One was the Del Oro, the other one was off of Industrial, and the other one was the old wastewater treatment plant. Based off of that selection and where we would go, then we would discuss about what the building would look like. I did present a layout of a current JMF facility for another municipality, which would include the shops, the break room, the maintenance area, the inventory warehouse, all those things. And it is significant. But again, if you start bringing everybody together, which it is also possible that you could bring Parks and Rec into it as well, if that was a consideration.
One, I do know that we just had a building, steel building, that we approved a while back for their vehicles, electrical, water, I believe, and stuff there over by the school where the Parks building is. I don't see why we couldn't expand your area. I think it's a great idea. Your training room could be right there, the majority of your employees right there. Vehicle access and equipment access and proper storage for those items that we purchased. So they're not getting dilapidated due to the.
I think that's what the future conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Director Roberts. Oh, I apologize. Don't mean to interrupt, but to answer your question about their current space right near the water treatment plant, we probably will have to confirm this because it's been a while since I've heard this, and I don't know if it's just a memory or not, but I did understand that part of that space is for the actual treatment plant to expand at some point. So I don't know if there's still space left over or not, but that might be one of the challenges.
That's the concern, is that if we start to develop some of the direction that the board has given as far as extra treatment facilities, other filter bays, things of that nature, that's gonna push into that west parking lot, which is going to eliminate the ability to have C&D come through that area. Again, so C&Ds basically are, for all intents and purposes, they're in a pole barn right now. And then the storage facility in the back, again, is exposed to all the elements.
It is a good question, though, as far as asking where that space can be utilized. We just might have to confirm it.
So we do have a piece of property there on the other side of Joe Martinez
So
and.
I don't want to, sorry, Greg, I don't want this to go on forever. We're
No, I'm not
not,
trying
we're
to
not
go
at
on
that
for-
point to pick a spot.
Yeah.
I think that'll be plenty of conversation in 2027.
Yeah,
into
the
28.
direction is, what I'm seeking for now is if you're willing to pursue
Yeah.
a joint maintenance facility.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to get hung up in the weeds. Bill?
Thank you for the presentation. I agree. I think employees need a good workspace. I think we need accommodations that are healthy and safe for them. The only caveat that I have is we have a $20 million water treatment plant expansion. We've got a $20 million wastewater expansion. We've got a lot of $6 million water tanks. We've got a lot of money that we're expending. Where's the money going to come from? Is one question. And I know we like to refer to, this is not a reflection on you at all, Kevin. I know we refer to our water ratepayers as customers. They're really not customers. They have no choice. And yet we continue to raise water rates year after year. And that's a concern for me. I'm not saying that we, wouldn't be nice to have that joint maintenance facility. I think as far as list of priorities, that in my opinion, is down the list a little bit. I think we should try to come up with a way that we can, I don't know, can we make a shower? Can we build a building that has showers and break room in it? Are there interim things we can do cost effectively to try to assuage some of the problems that they have right now? I don't know. These are questions. These are concerns. I just, with the amount of money that we are expending and planning to expend, it's a concern, but I appreciate the vision. I do. I agree. It's been a long time coming. It's unfortunate that things don't happen more quickly, but it seems like we're being hit with every upgrade that can possibly happen to our water system now. So, that's all I have to say.
Kevin. So I think the board as a whole right now values responsible projects, sensible projects, certainly ones that are meaningful. And since you've been on board, one thing I appreciate you is about you're always looking toward the future, and you look at the steps needed to achieve Plan L down the road. So I think you have that vision that's required for a good department head. And I fully agree that this is probably on track with what needs to happen in order for our continued growth and to do it right. But I think if you bring to the table a plan that the board can get behind, that's again both responsible and sensible in terms of cost and need, satisfying those needs, then I think you'll have good success. I think we left the last meeting with the question of, are there any existing buildings that are within Pueblo West that would satisfy your current needs? And would that be feasible? Rather than to go out and build, spend a lot of money, could you use a large facility to satisfy those needs? Again, I would say that that's something we need to look at as well. But other than that, I have full confidence that you're going to fit this within your timeline. When Christian and I spoke about it, it was, we're assuming this is going to end up in the next strategic plan. This isn't something that's going to happen right away because, again, to Bill's point, you have to figure out a way to fund it, right? So in the interim, are there any little projects that can be done that are reasonable? Not a $2 million retrofit that's you're not going to use later, but could it be something relatively inexpensive to satisfy those immediate needs and safety needs for our employees so that we can move on to these bigger, more sensible purchases? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. That's all I have. Anyone else have anything else?
Okay. One of the things I was going to say, I know we've mentioned it before. I'm saying I don't stop pursuing the joint maintenance facility situation. Develop your own thought processes on where we could probably put it. Like I think Brian hit on it, saying if you can kind of get your own cost estimates on what would it cost us to do something along these lines, where we would have it, where to put it. I say don't stop doing this, but what can we do? I know it sounds silly, short term, to reorganize what we have currently to make things work until we can get to the point that we can pursue the joint maintenance facility. Because I agree, the money part is a part that we're having a problem with, and if we can get something that's equitable, what's the word I'm looking for? Equitable for
Feasible.
And what we can afford, or it's something that, that's the problem we're having. I think most of us are having a problem getting past, is what's it gonna cost it at what we're having right now to deal with.
Or just lay out the potential costs and how we're going to pay for it and what, to Bill's point, is it going to require an increase in water rates just to afford the facility? Is it going to meet our current cost structure so that we don't have to do that for that purpose? Those are things.
And again, I appreciate all your comments. I really do. And I value each and every one of your opinions. Again, tonight's purpose was to make sure that I had the board's backing to continue processing that discussion and moving down that road and evaluating where we are as far as, are we gonna put good money after bad? Or are we gonna invest in a new building? How does that work and how does that proceed? So that's what my intent was, just to make sure that I was able to move forward with that instead of just letting it die on the vine.
Yeah, it may also help to lay out your master plan so that we know exactly where this fits into, you know, your plans A through L in order to satisfy the needs of a growing Cobble West.
Yeah, and the master plan will be coming in the fall as well.
Right.
That's more geared towards infrastructure though.
One more thing, we have 17.25 acres on the corner of east of McCulloch on John Powell. It was, I think, one of our proposed swim pool sites for the aquatic center. So I would, and it's less than a mile away from the facility.
That's residential too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I don't think it is.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, anything else? Thank you as always, Kevin.
All right, thank
Great
you.
presentation. Thank you. Thank you, your team. All right, next up, strategic priority 7, diversify revenue streams, economic development policy review.
Good evening, President Axworthy, members of the board. Amy Lund, Director of Business Administration, and I'm coming before you with a first formal draft to the board of an economic development in policy. And give me 1 second here. Pull up my notes. So, brief backstory on this item. Staff were before the board in January of 2026, inquiring about developing this policy document to guide the Economic Development Division. The intent here is to capture a lot of what we're already doing, but to formalize it into a document. This division has not had an existing policy document, and that has put us in a position of frequently needing to do a lot of check-ins, guidance on X, guidance on Y, guidance on Z. This was an attempt to capture a lot of these elements into a consolidated place with a document that's meant to be somewhat general, a document that would be, in a perfect world, could survive as is for the next several years, but could always be revisited by future boards. So this is not intended to capture specific strategies, as we can decide those as we go. And we did assemble a economic development policy committee that has met a few times to assemble the document that you have before you. I did receive some comments from Director Pasternak that are not in the versions you have, but I did want to draw special attention to, on the third page, Director Pasternak identified an area where we had mentioned economic incentives being bounded within a percentage of list price. That was intended to be removed before you had this anyway, so I appreciate Chris's attention to that. I have a different plan in mind for handling that, which we can go into as discussion proceeds. But to that, I'll open up for questions about the document, other things that you think you might like to see. And this is, again, incorporating commentary that was consolidated from Directors Pasternak and Vickers over the last few months. So it should be in a pretty good state. But we're looking for discussion so that we can be back with a decision and resolution at a subsequent meeting.
Board?
So the purpose of this is to, as staff and board transition, to have something in place, right? That's the main.
Yes, as we,
there's nothing that exists.
As Marcos and myself came into these positions, we were identifying a lot from scratch and figuring it out as we went, what worked, what didn't, what you preferred to see. And so we've incorporated a lot of what we've taken from the board direction over the last year. You'll note that we included portions about seeing, for commercial deals anyway, a minimum of 10% earnest money, whereas we were getting offers that were lower than that. We would then come to the board and we'd have to go back again, back and forth. So we've incorporated the feedback we've seen over the last year and a half that we think is sensible feedback into the document that we think should survive probably future boards as well.
Anyone else?
Yeah, can you kind of highlight the incentivized transactions, how that would work?
Yeah. And that is an element that is not coming before you tonight, is the economic incentive application form. That's a document that we want to revisit with the understanding of what your direction is on this document first. But the idea that we identified were that there were three main areas of incentive that we thought were valuable to consider. And so those incentives that we have discussed internally and with the departments that they affect are adjustments of land price themselves. That is not generally preferable, I believe, to this board or to the department. What we'd like to see instead is option C, which is reimbursement agreements. This would be a scenario where we may have a development that would like to come in and develop land. The board or the department may decide that there is economic benefit to having those deals move forward. In the case that was discussed earlier this evening about developments that have significant sales tax generating revenue in the future, but they may have infrastructure costs that could be prohibitive to the development in the first place. A reimbursement agreement would be one avenue we could pursue. This would happen with an application that would come before the board, and you would have the opportunity to agree to it, amend it, whatever the case might be. But the developer would need to make their case to you about jobs that they'd be bringing in, about potential sales tax revenue, property tax revenue, et cetera. And so what that would be in the case that their development would require infrastructure that would serve the needs of the district beyond their own development as well. So the number one that we see a lot is road development. If a project is going to require, okay, you need to put a turn lane in here, or you need to do such and such to have right in, right out access, or whatever the case may be, that will benefit traffic flow for the entire district. If the development comes to us, they make an application, they bring it to you, they say, we want to justify this project. Can you help us out? If we fulfill our end of the deal, can you reimburse us for the cost of these items only? That would be what a reimbursement agreement would look like as one option of an economic incentive. I started by mentioning the land price adjustments, which would be just a straight discount. Again, they would need to come to the board with justification. And my plan for that is not captured here, and I do apologize, this was one item I meant to include. My pitch for this would be the application would have the conditions they would need to meet, and they would write in their offer, and they would bring that to you. So then you could immediately counter offer, and we don't have to play around with saying, well, we'll do it within 80%, we'll do it with it. We don't have to play with any of that. We're going to go to a pricing model that's also included here. Redo our pricing on a regular basis, and we'll say the list price is the list price. It already takes into account whether or not there are utilities or amenities there. That's the price. If you want to come in and develop within Pueblo West and you have a different idea for why you think you shouldn't pay that price, they need to make their case to the board. And then we don't have this back and forth negotiation and this kind of middleman situation. Right. And then the last of the three, to your question, Director Vickers, the third option that we did consider evaluating, and we have discussed this with both finance and with utilities, is the potential for them to finance their water or sewer tap fees. So the tap fees can be pretty large. If you're doing a smaller commercial development, it can be a larger portion of the overall development. And so this would offer the opportunity, if the board approves again, because everything would be coming through with an application, it would be in the format that you want to see. And they might be able to stretch that tap fee out over a number of years. We were thinking up to 5. So they would make payments on that. Then the question comes up, what if they stop paying? Then we have that written in about, here's what's going to happen if you stop paying. We would need to cancel service or whatever the case might be.
Thank you.
I like that we're moving forward. I know, as you mentioned, we've had a lot of that back and forth about negotiating this and that. It's nice to have a standard in place, so I appreciate that. One thing I did mention or did just popped out at me is the creation of primary jobs, just because I know that's been that's caused a little discontent between a few different agencies. So just be careful with that language. I think incentives should be for everybody, not just primary jobs. So just be careful. And I know you just use that as an example, but it's created some animosity.
We can easily strike that language, and any sitting board member, for example, might say, well, high value economic development outcomes to me means that to themselves, and then it's not here in writing in a document. And then as the board gives us their guidance, so that's a perfect example of what the document is meant to do, is to be something that stays in place, but can ebb and flow with the direction of boards as they come on.
I do have a couple questions.
Sure.
Do we have the infrastructure and the catalyst to process these applications?
Yes.
Or are we looking at creating additional jobs?
No. There is an economic development incentive application on our website right now. It has not been reevaluated because we knew we were going to be working on this, so we're going to modify and adapt it. And I don't know that we've seen any in the last year and a half, because we've had these deals come to us with so many unique
Variables.
elements. The applications shouldn't take anything. The application is just a form that we slide across the table to you. So there's no systems needed. There's no software needed. There's nothing to it. It would be,
Okay, and they gotta find their own funding for these large projects?
yeah. This is not for any partnership with,
Okay.
anything that would come to us for a partnership is going to be a lengthy discussion, one-off in any case that it
I'd
would
like
be.
to see that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
No.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Good presentation.
So I'm going to capture Director Pasternak's comments. I'll make sure that those go out in a follow-up email to make sure that we're on board with those, because you did provide some additional better language around the real estate contract. So I'll incorporate that as well. If it's all right with everyone here, I will strike the mention of creation of primary jobs. And anything else that occurs to you down the road. Otherwise, we will work on the
had that once.
incentive application, and then we'll come back with both documents and a resolution for approval.
But didn't we have, just recently, we had I think it was CCOM with the creation of primary jobs that we lost track of, and kind of lends to our discussion earlier
Well,
about being able to keep track of stuff from board to
that-
board.
That deal was documented of sorts, and it had performance metrics.
Okay.
And the performance metrics, along with COVID, is where that got lost.
Okay.
With prior staff. I don't even know who. This would be, we're going to create, let's say, primary jobs as a condition of you approving one of these things that's going to be done in the contract, and not something that we're tracking for years to come. We don't
want to be responsible for that.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Okay,
You're very
thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
All right, next up, strategic priority 8, fostering public trust. Events committee update, 2027, 4th of July, drone show.
Okay, so this is my baby here. The events committee met Monday. Last week, yeah. And so our deposit for the fireworks, we maintain that for 6 months. And then if we don't use them, then they don't get, we lose the deposit. So they're looking at December the 5th if weather conditions and ground conditions are favorable. The Parade of Lights, doing the fireworks show. And in the future, we're looking at possible drone show. Just to give you an idea, the fireworks show cost about $35,000, and the drone show is about $36,000 with 200 drones. But the deposit is 50% down, not $5,000 down. That's a huge deposit, and I know Sherry said there might be some other options as far as putting such a huge deposit down. But they're booking now for next year. So I propose to the committee that we do a survey, okay, that we are creatures of habit. We're used to seeing fireworks and booms and socializing with everybody. And location was discussed. Civic Center Park was discussed, and the old location over by Oasis Church. To me, for the viewing pleasure, Oasis Church area off of Palmer Lake and Hans Peak, that area over there, provides a lot of parking and viewing for not only the residents that live in the area, but who could come and enjoy those. The question of Oasis Church has a red, white, and boom. Would it conflict with them trying to have Sunday services because 4th of July falls next year on Sunday? That question was posed, and they said Sunday's fine. Most people are probably going to have Monday off as a federal holiday. So it looks like in the survey, we're still going to ask if you want to have the option of having the fireworks show on Saturday versus Sunday, but everybody on the committee agreed that it needs to happen on the holiday. So, but we're still going to put that survey out there. And then the drone show, we have a few examples of the drone show that we're going to view real quick. And taking any questions and comments. Yes, please. As you're watching this, I want you to imagine the reduction of fires being created, but it's still not going to keep those fireworks within the community when they are allowed and authorized to be fired by the residents. So just keep that in mind. This is an option. But it's time sensitive when it comes to a heavy deposit. And that's about half of that that video there. So that's what the events committee is currently looking at. And we need a board decision whether we want to do a survey as opposed to the committee.
Dr. Roberts, is it okay if I add just a little
Yes,
bit?
sir.
I appreciate that. It was a great introduction because and coverage of a lot of the scope of the committee, the highlights, it did come up as a public safety issue. First and foremost, as far as our events coordinator, events volunteer coordinator, Allison Singh brought it up, concerned that, hey, these fireworks year to year could get canceled, especially as fire risk becomes more prevalent. So asking that question now is awesome because it at least gives us an opportunity, as Dr. Roberts said, to ask the board and get some feedback. And the only other thing I wanted to highlight was a question about the survey and even moving forward with it, understanding that, let's say, I'm not speaking for the board, obviously, but let's say that there was a prevalent concern that the safety issue would drive us to the drone show first and foremost. A concern of if that is already the prevalent thought, then sending out a survey, and let's say the survey feedback was mostly fireworks, would that change the board's mind? And would a survey then seem like it was not actually taking consideration into it? So as you discuss the question of where it might lean and what information you would like before you make that decision, I think is one we want to ask and make sure that's cognizant as we discuss. That's all. Thank you.
Anyone else? Comment?
I love fireworks.
Yeah.
I know that everybody around me loves fireworks. But I am in favor of the drone show because I know everybody else is going to be doing fireworks, so I don't think we're going to lose too much from it. And it's something different. I think we could try it. I'd do the survey after we do the drone show. That's my take.
Yeah. See,
I think it'd be,
Also, I just thought of the idea when I saw that thing come up. It said Fabri, whatever that means. But maybe there's a business somewhere around town that would want to sponsor it.
Coke bottles? That's what I thought. I saw the Coke
Maybe
bottles, like,
I
did
saw
Coke
that.
pay
Maybe
for
we can
that?
get Coca-Cola. No, I mean, it's just an idea for the committee.
I'm for to see what it looks like. I just wish they could get the sounds of the booms of the fireworks and implemented into the show. That'd be kind of interesting to see if they could do something like that, but it'd be more of a silent show or something that has probably music behind it.
I do have an answer to that.
And so anyway, I'm for let's check it out and see what it looks like and do a survey afterwards with the public and those here. And yeah, I think, but again, I had to retain myself this last 4th of July as much as I wanted to because of I love the 4th. And anyway,
I think that the community needs a big congratulations. I did not see
Yeah.
one firework, and I thought for sure, you're going to see some, but I mean, I was
Very few.
impressed. I didn't see
It wasn't
any.
bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they did a great
I
job.
was very impressed myself. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I like the drone show. I like fireworks too, but they seem to it seems to be iffy every year, I mean, so you always have plenty of neighbors that do that. I mean, it looks like Baghdad around here.
There is something to say about having a drone show for those that might have PTSD, and that fireworks would harm. I know a few people that have that issue. That being said, I wouldn't vote for a drone show just because I hate to spend money on something that may or may not get attention. No, that's just me.
No,
It's just me.
They had one at the
person's-
college last year. You should. That was really something.
I would love a killer laser show and a concert.
So,
That's what I would vote for personally, but if we weren't going to do fireworks. But yeah, I mean, if there's a calling for it and the community wants to participate in it, then by all means,
so
This
I
is
do
not-
have an answer to Director Potter's query. With the drone show, they can project a QR code up in the sky. So you can capture that on your phone, on your tablet, and you get audio. But I would also say that they could probably have some concert speakers out there in the area facing outward and include the audio and the booms, the zip bangs, like we used to see in the comics.
I know a lot of people like the Christmas lights that are attached to the radio station and what have you. A lot of people
Mhm.
enjoy that. So people will drive by and enjoy those that actually put that on for the community, which is great. Maybe this would be something very similar. I don't know. I never have considered it myself, but
How long does it last?
15 minutes. Good question. Our fireworks show is 20 minutes.
it's a good question. So question stands, do we put out a survey? I think that's what the direction we need to provide.
I said I kind of looked at it for a survey because the fireworks show is for our community, so they should have some input, at least an opportunity to have some input. And it's their tax dollars.
Agreed. Chris?
I mean, I said, if you're gonna do a survey, I think doing it afterwards though, because like it says in the write-up, it might just get shot down in general without people having an opportunity to really see what it is.
Like me.
We
Like-
can
like
provide some YouTube
Ryan
links
Downer.
for other drone shows. I think with the survey, so they can get an idea what we're talking about, especially those who are not as connected as most of us here on this board. Technological wise.
Just let the committee do it.
I agree with Chris afterwards, because I'm always willing to try something new. You gotta step outside that comfort zone sometimes. I don't know what I'm gonna feel about it myself, but at the same time, I'm okay with after the drone show. I mean, the money's pretty much already been committed, or what I'm understanding. And might as well utilize it, and then the people decide afterwards if it's something that we could have in our back pocket for future situations, I guess you could say. But again, stepping outside the comfort zone, just stepping outside, thinking outside the box a little bit, and just having a little bit of I would say afterwards, just because I don't want it to get shot down before people have a chance to opportunity. That's my thought process.
Christian, if we were gonna keep this open for discussion and a decision, what would be the next August board meeting?
I doubt we have time to
I know
commit
it's
to
time
one
sensitive, like I said.
between now and August. I think we do need something tonight, but we can talk. I would say that we probably don't have time to August to commit to what our next year's show, whichever would look like. Assuming that's when the survey goes out.
So
We're
we
not
need to
actually-
decide tonight whether we're doing a
I
drone
think,
show.
I think we would like that direction now. Otherwise, we're in a situation that we're not gonna be able to book either. We're gonna be at risk of not booking either. And I did get information that is, right now, it is not possible to send out a YouTube video with the survey platform that we have.
So I have one question. I don't even know if you can answer it or not, but I want to say in all my years, I'm 48 years old. I'm not that old. But one thing I've learned is you get what you pay for. So in terms of a drone show, I imagine it goes from $2 million to $35,000. I mean, if you take a look at what our budget is, what are we gonna get? And is it gonna be worth it?
Yeah. I know we looked at a option, I think it was about 200 drones, if I recall correctly.
It was a
As-
200 drone.
As a very comparable to what Director Roberts said, about 36,000 for it. I think that is a modest show, but I think those are ones that we see examples of in the community. I don't think you see I don't know how many the large ones are, 3,000, 5,000. So it would be novel for us at the very least to experience that. You do get what you pay for. I think we're essentially at risk of choosing one or the other, and one of them having much more likelihood of either needing to be rescheduled regardless.
Do we still have the numbers on the 300 drone cost?
I do not have the numbers on
I
that.
thought it
but
was
the-
like $51,000.
The video that we just watched was 200 drones. I specifically picked that one. So it would look similar to
So-
that.
It goes up
I
real
turned away
quick.
after 60 seconds.
Yeah.
I know, Bahama, yeah, Brian Downer. Yeah,
Let's make a decision. We can't have this go longer than the other ones.
Gotcha,
We gotta
gotcha.
go.
No, enough said. So can I get a motion to move forward with the drone show for next year?
I'll make the motion. Move
Give me-
forward with the drone show.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to have a drone show for the next 4th of July. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, so it's 3-2. Motion stands. We'll have a drone show 4th of July.
And just for comfort and clear, is it okay for the survey to come afterwards to compare the two?
We apparently don't have time before. I mean, we need a decision
That's
tonight,
right.
so.
So there were other questions within the survey too, just to discuss it, but understanding that, we'll do the survey after.
Yep. Okay. Moving on, strategic priority number 9, maintaining organizational health, incentive pay matrix concept.
We're gonna hopefully have it in December.
Good evening, President Axworthy, members of the board. So I'm bringing this item back to you today at your request. Several months ago, we discussed updates to our compensation model. And if you recall, we talked about our current compensation model, the CR rubric, as well as a potential hybrid model or a incentive-based model. At the time, we did a survey with our staff to review what their overall feedback was on our CR rubric, and overall it was positive. There was some general feedback that they did want at least some sort of incentive-based compensation within it. And I know that the board had given feedback that they wanted to at least be able to reward employees that go above and beyond within their field with some sort of monetary like additional value. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. We looked at potential options outside of the CR rubric that we could potentially put into the system to be able to reward those employees. So the idea is to create a separate objective merit bonus program that operates independently of our compensation rubric. Rather than rewarding tenure or position, it rewards organizational performance and employee contributions. Under this concept, the board would establish a maximum annual bonus pool, and the district would earn all or a portion of that pool based on its performance against 6 objective criteria. For example, if the board established a $100,000 bonus pool and the district achieved a score of 0.6 on the performance matrix, the earned bonus pool would be $60,000. Employees would then only be eligible to participate if they earned a performance evaluation score of at least 3.5 and met the other eligibility requirements. So that $60,000 would then be spread across those employees that were eligible. So I want to highlight that on that screen there is my idea for the compensation rubric, or not the compensation rubric, but the incentive model. However, there is a lot of moving parts right now between the fact that we are right in the thick of budget season for 2027. We are right in the middle of a fair market analysis, which is done every 3 years. And then on top of that, we also are anticipating a COLA increase. There's a lot of moving parts right now. This would be one more ring in the fire that would result in a potential impact to our overall salary. I don't want to say salary, but overall costs for employees. And so I think that this is something that we need to be very cautious of right now. I think that this is a good idea in general, just not right now. The reason why I think this is a good idea is if you look at those 6 criteria on the district scorecard, we look at voluntary turnover rate, workers' compensation, EMOD, safety violations, board annual feedback, public annual feedback, and financial innovation submissions. Those things are all potential things that could save the district money in the long run. Voluntary turnover, we all know that as people leave positions and those vacancies occur for long lengths of time, you lose that institutional knowledge and the district ultimately ends up losing money. So as people end up coming on board, you have to spend money on training them. Then you end up spending more money on trying to get people up to speed, trying to catch up on things that were missed in the interim. The Rhodes IGA is a perfect example of that, of things that kind of went for too long that should have been addressed. Voluntary turnover is something that costs the district money. Workers' compensation is another example of something that costs the district money. Our EMOD score is based on the total number of claims that are filed based on workers' compensation claims. So that's something that could be scored. And if the district scores high on that, then we would not offer a bonus that year. Safety violations, same thing. So those are all different things that we kind of looked at and identified that could potentially save the district money. And we tried to create this overall matrix. And the concept is you go down the line and the board would give us an overall score for the year. And if you cross a specific threshold on the scorecard, then we would be eligible for a bonus pool. All staff that got a 3.5 or higher on their performance annual review would be eligible for whatever the bonus pool was at the end of the year. That's the overall concept. I know I kind of ran through that fast, and I know it's kind of a broad concept to kind of review like this on the spot. But the moral of the story at this point is I highly don't recommend it at this point. we just have too many moving parts. And again, we're right in the middle of the budget season. Our CR rubric is just going into its third year. So things are finally starting to stabilize as far as personnel costs. And so I think for the purpose of budgeting and ensuring that we are keeping costs at a fair and a good level, I think that this is something that we kind of put on hold and reassess in another year.
Thank you. You want to go first?
So this is on top of the pay scale package already?
Yeah, this would be something separate.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood, but I thought it was going to be a hybrid system where the incentive was also included in the base pay
That's what I
system.
thought too.
So I didn't anticipate this to be on top of pay. So that's just what I thought.
No, I apologize. Several months ago when we presented, before we had talked about the different options, we'd gotten feedback from the staff. And ultimately, what we came to the conclusion after presenting to the board gave the feedback of we'll move forward with the CR rubric and also basically move forward with that, keep that the same, and then look for other opportunities to potentially provide incentives for staff to try to save the district money. And so that's where this came into play. So that's where we're at this point.
So I think, go ahead.
I was gonna support that as far as that was the direction at the time. It doesn't mean we can't consider it as part of replacement at the time. And I remember it was one we, I think, double confirmed. It was something that was said as independent of the CR rubric as it stood at that time, but that could change.
Yeah, I knew we were moving forward with the CR rubric, but we were going to incorporate in future incentive,
one of the
incentive based
classifications, whether it was qualifications or
Certification.
Certification.
certifications.
qualifications.
Yeah, so you had your four, is it four?
Yeah.
Four criteria, or main criteria, and then we were gonna include the hybrid as part of that. I forgot all about that. So that basically the idea is that no one would ever be capped and wouldn't have the potential for an increase in pay. And as long as their performance was good.
The concern that we had with that is that the rubric it's an impact to the salary, right? And so it's a lifelong impact as long as they're within the district, and it compounds year over year as they get the cost of living increase. And so if they're good 1 year and they get that increase that year, then you will see that compounded impact year over year over year. And so you may have an employee that is great that first year, and then the years 2 through 6 are awful, which granted, hopefully that won't happen because you'll capture them in the performance reviews and you'll coach them and everything. But they could flatline at an average 3 and meet expectations, and they just remain that way for the end of time. And that doesn't really promote or incentivize any positive effort moving forward. So because once you achieve it on that rubric, it's captured. And so that was the concern with putting it on the rubric there. And
It still
so
caps them.
it would lock them in there, and it wouldn't incentivize them to continue to pursue
Okay, that's fair enough.
further. The other part about this too, of why we wanted to keep it separate, is this is a bonus. So it's not going to compound. You just get it at the end of the year. And then if you don't do well the next year, you don't get it. And you're not going to see it rise with the COLA increase that you get year over year.
Other than that, I agree with waiting for a year, maybe even 2, to see where the new rubric lends us. And the only other thing I had to mention is, and I mentioned it to Christian earlier this week, or last week.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that any increase to the cost of government goes along with increases to services to the community. There's got to be some sort of equilibrium there. Because if you don't have that, that's when you have governments that go defunct without giving anything back to the community. So just be cautious there. And I certainly don't want anybody's salary to be capped, so I know we do the COLA. Um, But that doesn't provide as much incentive as performing the best of their ability.
Yeah, and that's why I think that this is so incredibly beneficial. And I really don't think I did a great job of selling this initially. And I think it's because there is a little bit of pause in me knowing that we have the fair market analysis going on. We have the COLA increase. We're budgeting. The CR rubric is in its infancy, and there's a lot of moving parts to it. But this has the opportunity to really incentivize people to make those changes. Director Vickers was one of the ones that really pushed forward wanting to be able to highlight when someone goes above and beyond, because we had an employee last year that saved the district $100,000 on a capital project by being creative and coming up with a solution that allowed us to circumvent having to do that capital project. And that's awesome. And so that's why the financial innovation submission is on there, is because of that particular idea. But it allows us to be able to, you know, promote safety and to be able to promote, you know, the longevity piece, and just making sure that we're being accountable to each other and to the service that we provide and everything else. So I really do think that this is something that we can really shape. And this is something in its infancy too that we can talk about. And just because I'm saying a 3.5 threshold for the performance review is what I'm recommending, this is something that we can shape and talk about as we decide to move forward with it down the road. Along with the other 6 criteria, we could potentially add different things on there if there's other ideas that the board has or staff have that we want to incorporate within it. But we wanted to bring it back to the board upon your request, because it was something that you guys wanted to do to really, you know, focus on the staff and making sure that they're feeling incentivized. But again, just don't think now's the right time.
Anyone else?
I think this is a pretty good, I like the way it's laid out, and it emphasizes more than what we had thought about when our employees save the district money, so on and so forth. And I guess it puts everybody in the pool, for lack of a better term. But I think there should be something that's specifically and distinctly for those who did what they did last year. If something like that happens and it's an immediate situation, it should be immediate type of return situation versus waiting till the end of the year type of thing. And people have that opportunity to save us the money or come up with ideas to help us find ways to save money and do you get what I'm saying on that? And incentivize, and I think that incentivizes people in a faster way or manner than just waiting till the end of the year to see if you got good marks as well. But I do like what you have here, because I think it is a way to move forward for people to think about health and safety and so on and so forth. And developing this in a manner that make it, like you're saying, in the future. But I still think we should do something a little more creative in our, like, I think Bill was on board with it, with the people who have a direct impact at the moment. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is something that maybe the board could consider coming up with an amount that they would be willing to set aside for that specific purpose. And then staff could budget accordingly, and we can come up with criteria for that purpose. Because we already have the employee of the quarters that we award, and the board, actually our leadership team selects that. But we could potentially deliver in the same way. People do nominations quarterly. We deliver those nominations to the board. The board selects a nominee each quarter, and then we award them with a compensation amount or a bonus based on whatever potential cost savings they deliver to the district. That could be an idea.
And that could be individual board, that could be board actions on every time it occurs, correct?
Talk about if like something occurs.
Yeah,
bringing that- I got you.
the board could take action independently.
So not even quarterly, but like if we recognize that something occurred.
I think it's a lot more complicated than what we're initially thinking about. I could see over budgeting a project, just so you can say I saved $100,000.
Yeah, but that's not what happened.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, Brian Downer, remember? Brian Downer.
Yeah, no,
Worst case
I
scenarios.
get, no, I get Brian's point though. Once you create this program, then that could create that
Oh,
type of behaviors.
exactly.
So that's what he's saying.
To that point, I think you're looking for that immediate reciprocation of like, you did X, it's validated, get back Y.
Yeah, it would definitely be
yeah.
validated. It wouldn't just be.
Yeah, Katrina's point of us knowing those figures would be the way to help make a mechanism for that, because the reason it's happening towards the end of it is because of the budgeting cycles, the requirements, the evaluation. It's taken into account that process for it.
And the rubric.
And
So it's not just weighted on one individual act.
yeah, the awesome thing about this one, I do give credit, because Katrina, it may appear in some forms complex, but it has a lot of rationale behind. It's a collective. We're moving the district forward in ways that actually save money for the community. And then there's benefits of individual performance that are tied to it. So there's a lot of merit towards it, but to the point of how it recognizes it and the question back of how do you allocate for it, whether it's tied to Soaring Eagles or district of the court, employee of the quarter, I think it's a fair question too, of maybe that's something that helps bridge the gap towards potential immediacy.
I can see some sort of reward basis like the Soaring Eagle and such, and attach more of a monetary figure to those types of awards so that you have an innovation award or you have, such and such. You have a slew of them that are awarded at your annual banquet, or something similar.
One of the things that we struggled with this particular concept, though, with that, and that's why we kind of created it the way that we did, is it may be a lot. There may be more opportunity to be safe or to. I'm trying to think of how to actually word this, because of course you can be safe in a finance environment, but there's more ways to promote safety and to like do different things in a field type environment versus a finance environment, where you're exposing yourself to chlorine at the water treatment plant, or you're going out on a fire scene, versus you're primarily in an office environment. So the amount of safety violations that might occur in our utilities department versus in our finance department is obviously drastically different. So it creates kind of unfair expectations. So if you're, wanting someone to do something extraordinarily for cost savings, are we setting different standards and expectations for different departments? So that kind of, it makes it difficult sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's a little more complicated than what we're.
You might want to toss around this. This is what we did at the Feds.
I'm gonna get a couple.
So we would have quarterly awards for different caseworker, correctional officer, supervisor of the quarter and then the year. And they would, rather than giving them money, we would give them an administrative holiday. And in some cases for supervisor of the year, officer of the year, or caseworker of the year, okay, they would get 5 days off. Okay. And that's money that's already allocated and not extra that's being spent. You're just scheduling that person off. So keep that in mind.
So I think we need to agree on a direction. Do we wait and talk about this the next, when would you like the next conversation to take place? April?
Yeah, if the board wants to implement this for 2027, I need guidance now. If you want to implement this in the future, then we can push these discussions off further down the road.
Because she's got a budget for next year, so. Yeah.
But since we're already in the middle of budget discussions,
Right.
I would
So
need
would you want to start in March or April of next year? If we wait?
probably March.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I get a motion to either start this today or, I'm sorry, start the process for the next fiscal year, or begin discussions for 2028 fiscal year in March?
I'll make a motion to move discussion to next March in anticipation with possible implementation for 2028.
We have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina.
Appreciate it, Katrina.
All right, next up, strategic priority 10, perfecting the roads IGA and MS4. 2023 roads IGA public information strategy. Am I starting this process? I am. Let's see it already. All right.
It's your baby this time.
Okay, so to kick us off, I just want everybody to know that this is a very brief overview of what we've seen and been discussing as a Metro District and Board regarding the current IGA and the state of our 1% 6C sales tax. 6C, right? This presentation is informational only. Much of what we've faced as board members and recent Metro employees has to do with correcting mistakes of the past or facilitating action when there was previously only talk. So moving forward, we're hoping for correction in past paradigms and collaboration with county entities for the betterment of all. Next slide, please. And I'm not going to read through the slides. You're welcome to read the slide itself. I'm just going to comment. The historical intergovernmental agreements between Pueblo County and the Pueblo West Metro District have placed most of the road maintenance and development responsibility on the Pueblo West Metro District. However, that responsibility is not under the purview of the Metro District. It's not in our service plan, and therefore there is no funding mechanism adequate enough to facilitate that service. For over 30 years, funding has been limited and not adequate enough to properly maintain our roads. The Pueblo West Metro Board and district staff are looking for proof and allocation of a fair share allocation in county road and bridge funding towards Pueblo West roads that is additional to our 1% temporary sales tax and intended to improve our road system, not just maintain it. Pueblo West has 1/3 of the total road miles that Pueblo County Road and Bridge is responsible for. And in the past, we've asked for 1/3 of the road and bridge funding in order to accommodate regular maintenance. Next slide, please. The purpose of the 2023 roads IGA and 1% sales tax was to expedite the transition of roads back to Pueblo County, not replace obligations for funding or maintenance. Without the IGA and the 1% sales tax, the original 60-month notice to terminate that IGA would have caused that transition to take place in November 2026 instead of January of 2023. This is getting into the weeds a little bit, but this would have left essentially $2.5 million in annual road maintenance funding for Pueblo West roads for almost 4 additional years. So the county agreed to receive the 1% sales tax to expedite that transition and make it happen by 2027. The ultimate intent of the IGA and ballot had been to supplement the required funding and not replace it in terms of road maintenance funding. So in other words, the 1% sales tax was to increase the quality of our roads, while the county road and bridge fund was used to maintain our roads. So the IGA itself was successful in expediting that transition from Pueblo West management to county management of our roads, but it's time to see an established baseline of road maintenance apart from the sales tax rather than feeling Pueblo West residents and consumers are taxed twice for what county residents are only taxed once, and with no higher level of maintenance to show for it. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. Next slide, concerns to date. So the Metro Board and County Commissioners have discussed the matter twice since I've been on the board during previous joint sessions requested by Metro staff. One of those sessions was specifically designed to discuss the issue of adequate funding for our roads. At that point, the new IGA had been in place for over a year, And what we were seeing at that time was more maintenance-related work being done, similar to what's going on now, as far as fixing potholes, patching cracks, resurfacing dirt roads, but no real improvements. The commissioners at the time were Zach Swearingen, Epi Griego, and Danae Escar, and they were provided the historical IGA data, explanations regarding the deferred maintenance issues, the funding requirements to make it work correctly, and the need for a fair share of the road and bridge funding to be provided to Pueblo West. Since Pueblo West road miles equate to a third of the total miles in Pueblo County, at the time we asked for a third of the funding to be used for our roads. We were told no, and with the only explanation being that some roads cost more than others. There's no other comments provided to us as far as how much to fund Pueblo West or any confirmations of funding to date. During that joint session, it was mentioned that the roads were in such bad shape because Pueblo West Metro didn't take care of them correctly while they were responsible for them. Catch my breath. While it's true that the historical IGAs placed the responsibility of the road maintenance on Pueblo West Metro, it's also true that Pueblo West Metro never should have had that responsibility to begin with. In addition, unless the Pueblo County Road and Bridge performed any maintenance or updates to Pueblo West roads during those 38 years, our property and sales tax dollars have been used elsewhere that entire time. If they can prove to have done any maintenance or updates during that time, it'd be good to see the costs associated with those projects in relation to the tax income collected from the Pueblo West residents. So what we're saying is that it's time to correct these issues and gain some transparency. Moving forward, we're asking for a firm justification or formula of allocation, as well as a commitment of transparency to show that our tax dollars are being allocated fairly. So next slide. So what we're doing about it. County road and bridge funds need to be allocated fairly and justifiably to Pueblo West and next year's county's budget. And we need to see significant improvement of our roads next year. We would prefer that the county commissioners, the Pueblo West Metro Board, and the associated staff would work collaboratively to resolve the issues. We'd see better roads and heightened trust that our tax dollars are being used as they're intended. We are taking steps to collaborate and correct the situation and gain transparency in funding and operations to ensure Pueblo West residents are not unduly taxed. We coordinated a joint town hall meeting with the county commissioners to publicly discuss this issue. That meeting was canceled by the commissioners. While we understand that the Aspen Acres fire is tragic and consuming, the businesses of managing a county must still take place. At this time, there have been no attempts made by the county to reschedule the town hall. So we'll be initiating a public knowledge campaign to show the facts regarding the road IGA history, funding difficulties, documented tax allocations, etc., to inform our residents of our concerns and responses we've received to date. At this point, you'll see what we all see, which is exactly what's available to the public. If we still don't hear any resolution, collaboration, or transparency, excuse me, regarding the Pueblo West road funding and execution, then we'll request a third-party audit to obtain the information ourselves, which is stated within the IGA language. Depending on what we find, we'll discuss the option to repeal the 6C 1% sales tax to ensure that we are no longer taxed twice for the same work. There are other more drastic measures that can take place, but we're hoping not to get to that. But that's what's going on. Okay, next slide. So this is information that is pulled right off of the county budget, the 2026 approved budget, or adopted budget, I should say, that was adopted in April of this year. So one of the items is the 1A projects. That was something formed to debruce or use taper timeout in order to fund a certain amount of projects throughout the county. So we've seen a lot of the 1A projects put to the side for one reason or another. We did, out of the list, we did see some funds spent to repave McCulloch Boulevard from John Powell to Nichols Road. The original scope was to widen the road, which I don't think happened, but it was at least paved. There's another project to have Platteville Boulevard reconstructed from, I believe, the circle to I-25. We haven't seen anything happen yet in terms of that, and we may not receive any 1A contribution to the Aquatic Center, which originally I believe was about $1 million. Next slide. So that's the 1A projects. This is what we see on the budget in terms of road and bridge revenue from Pueblo West. So approximately 30% of our property tax goes to Pueblo County to pay for law enforcement, planning and zoning, court services, health departments, road maintenance, and drainage management services. About 35% of the total road and bridge property tax revenue comes from Pueblo West, if you look at the property valuations and so forth, and do the math. It amounts to about $922,000. We pay special ownership taxes on our vehicles, trailers, motorcycles, motorhomes, etc. County budgeted $5 million in revenue for this tax. It's unclear if the road and bridge portion is an addition to or part of that total revenue, but we definitely pay a portion of that. 1% of all sales tax goes to Pueblo County. What we can tell is that county budgeted $27.1 million in total sales tax revenue. Based on our research, it looks like the road and bridge sales tax revenue may be in addition to that number, which equals $5.2 million. The road and bridge budget shows our 6C 1% sales tax revenue and a new Pueblo West motor vehicle sales tax, which would all come from us. Pueblo West is also budgeted to receive $1.7 million in HUTF, which is a gas tax that we get from the state. That's approximately 28.7% of the total HUTF for the county. There's other revenue that includes fees that we pay as residents and commercial entities for building and what have you. All right, next slide. That was the revenue. Okay, so this is the expenses. So we see a total of $5.2 million budgeted for total expenses in Pueblo West, about 23.65% of the total road and bridge budget. So in the end, that seems almost fair to the common eye. It's a bit low, but understandable when the argument is raised about some roads costing more than others. But here's the real problem. Just over $4 million of those expenses are being paid by the additional 6C 1% sales tax that we agreed to temporarily pay to improve Pueblo West roads in a more expedient fashion. If you take the $4 million of the 6C money and add our HUTF allocation, it equals about $5.7 million. And if you look at the expenses, the $5.7 million is more revenue than what the county road and bridge is budgeting to expend in Pueblo West in 2026. So without the proof to suggest otherwise, county budget shows that we're still not seeing any of our property, special ownership, and general sales tax dollars used for Pueblo West roads. And then in addition, some of our HUTF or 1% sales tax is being used elsewhere in the county. So that is where we are at. And why we have so many questions. So sorry for rushing through that. But we are in the process of trying to collaborate with county, make some corrections, and hopefully provide some transparency so that we can further understand where our taxpayer dollars are going. Go for it. The floor is yours.
Christian J. Hine, District Manager. Excellent job, President Axworthy. That was a great capture of everything that I think has come, why it's happening, and how we're moving forward. The only thing I'm looking for guidance for tonight is that first step that Mr. Axworthy outlined and is coming is that public information campaign. In the packet, there's a general staff report that outlines what the criteria is in these next 4 months to develop that. Additionally, shared some of the more thorough information with the board themselves. But I'm just looking for direction to direct staff, including myself and the community relations manager, to begin executing the information campaign as discussed and presented or shared within the packets. And also, if you'd like, we would provide monthly updates on progress or relatively consequential feedback on that information. And we would be starting as soon as tomorrow. We are prepared.
Okay, so we've discussed the next steps, multiple meetings. Does anyone have anything to add?
What kind of deadline are we looking at to give them to coordinate this meeting with the 5 directors and yourself and other staff?
I don't know if we.
Community.
So we've given them the opportunity to have the joint meeting. We had a date set for July 9th. We've passed that. The next step,
It's phase 1.
Yeah.
Oh,
phase 1. Yeah, we need to move
I think we
forward.
move forward.
Yeah.
I would just offer if they start coordinating or we begin to coordinate it at any time, the board can, adjust the path based on the feedback and the meeting the expectations.
Just as an alternative, I'm on the PACOG committee, the Pueblo Area Council of Government. And you have 2 board members there, which is Miles Lucero and Paula McFetters. And this is specifically designed around roads, drainage, and development and zoning. This committee. Okay, so that would be another good opportunity for 5 directors to show up if they are not willing to cooperate and schedule all 3, as we know that we had a meeting planned for July the 9th. And they canceled. And there was a county commissioner seen in his leisure the same evening, which tells me that the excuse that they utilized was not being utilized appropriately.
I don't want to, the point is not to accuse or do anything. We want to work together. But at the same time, we need to emphasize the reason why we need to work together, and the community, the Pueblos community need to know what's going on. One way or the other, whether that's a joint meeting and we solve the problem in public, or we let folks know and then we apply that pressure in order to resolve those situations. Either way, I think we did a great job putting the timeline together, what needs to happen in order to make this succeed. We are operating at a time where the budget should be being worked on in terms of county. I know it's in progress with Pueblo West Metro and the city. But we need to make sure that the budget is allocated correctly for 2027. Otherwise, we're basically in breach of contract. And then we need to decide as a board what to do next once that occurs.
I agree entirely with you, Brian. And the thing is that we're doing all this for our constituents. And the power of peer pressure from our community, of which 2 of these county commissioners live in, needs to be asserted. And so with the public's knowledge, knowing of what I just spoke of a few moments ago, please reach out to your county commissioners. Voice your opinion that we want to know the numbers. We want our fair share. Thank you.
With that said, I'll make a motion to move forward with the 4-month public information campaign starting in July, moving through August, September, and October.
I'll second.
Third.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to move forward with the recommended phases. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Hey, I just want to give Christian and the staff a lot of kudos for, there's a lot of information they've sifted through, a lot of documents, a lot of budgets, and trying to decipher budgets is not easy. So, thank you, Christian and staff, for all the time you put into this, and, it makes our decisions more, easy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And there's gonna
Appreciate
be, I imagine there's gonna be loads of information being presented to the community based on these topics. A lot of it's hard to decipher, so if you guys have any questions, certainly reach out to Pueblos Metro or ourselves, and we can help where needed. A lot of information.
And I would ask that we publish the county commissioner's contact information so that the community can reach out easily without having to look for themselves.
Yeah.
I said this 3 meetings ago that you're gonna see something come out in the future that's gonna create a huge level of public trust in this administration. And this is it. Because Christian, Katrina, and now our new district clerk, Samantha, they're all gonna be working hard for our taxpayers to make sure that we get to the bottom of this. And this collective of board of directors, all 5 of us are on board. We know all these numbers. And it doesn't add up. So we're here for you. And say some prayers for us in the future, because this could be a tough road to hoe if it goes leak.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I'll reiterate, just to close this out. I don't think there's any ill intent. I think we're all in the same boat where we're trying to correct the paradigms of the past. We had some bad IGAs going on for many, many years. It's hurt Pueblo West in the end. It's time to correct it as a team, as we collaborate through, yes, as we work as a community to make this work correctly. It is going to take both entities working together to make it happen. And we have steps in place or suggestions in place that would allow us for heightened transparency and better
Communication.
Thank you. Yeah, path forward. Different committees that we could develop and maintain to make sure that we're all on the same page at all times. So again, correcting issues of the past, moving forward in a more positive light. I have no doubt that the commissioners want to do the same. Let's just make it happen. That's our point. Thank you.
Good job.
All right. Anything else, Christian?
No, other than I appreciate the feedback, and I would just like to share that it is all deserved to the staff, so thank you very much.
All right. Decision time, approval of the path forward for the administration building design presented by Christian Hine.
Good evening, Board. Christian J. Hine, District Manager. So this one I will try to be brief on, but one of the topics tonight for decision, this one wasn't specified like the other one, the indoor pool is, as far as bringing design back. But we do recognize we've had an opinion of probable cost that came over what we anticipated for our internal budget. With that, we've already talked with between the committee and design team of alternate options. So what you see in your packet and as part of the discussion is essentially 2 options currently. One of a 7,200 square foot facility that affords everything and a little bit of extra when it comes to particularly the public space, a little bit of extra office space, but just square footage wise, not additional offices. And when that opinion of probable cost came back, we decided we wanted to make sure we could cut and see where we could get it closer to what our actual budget numbers were. And that second option is part of the packet as well, with a closer to cost. Excuse me. It's about 6,200 square foot, a little less. And really where it shed some of that extra space was reducing the square footage in the boardroom or the shared public assembly area, which is a conference room, classroom, and boardroom that could be essentially recalibrated using dividers into just a smaller area. And I believe it's about 1,300 square foot total as opposed to the 2,000. And then reducing office space and the square footage to make them that minimum requirement. Still meets all ADA, still provides all the utility. It's just the minimum requirements for it. And that comes much closer to the budgeted numbers, although both are still above. And so there are essentially 3 options as we discussed with the committee for the board to consider, and we're looking for direction tonight on how to move forward. And that is either go with a 7,200 square foot, recognizing that is above cost by a more significant margin, and that it will come with, if those bids do not come back less than, it may require changing what that budgeted amount is. Option 2, which is reduced square footage, much closer to the budgeted term. It still has a risk, whether by market conditions or just the opinion probable cost of being slightly over. Or option 3, going with a construction manager general contract approach, or CMGC, which would essentially at this time be presented as presenting both of those options, utilizing that method, which is intended not to meaningfully change the timeline of how we would be moving forward. The major difference in the process for a CMGC is essentially a lot of work is done on the design team, but it works in conjunction with our procurement to go for a request for qualifications, or RFQ, getting a list of contractors that present and have those qualifications, shortlisting, and then moving towards actually presenting both finalized designs, schematic designs, for them to then give a actual maximum guaranteed price, which will get us much more in line with what we realistically should expect, what it would total cost for both of those projects. Doing that does increase some of our design costs because there is additional steps associated with that. We are hoping that it does not cause delay, and we'll still see that break ground later this year. But that is essentially the third option as a potential alternative to move forward with. So those are the 3 options, either at 7,200 with additional space and additional utility, both internal and potential for rental when it comes to external uses of that public assembly area. The closer to 6,200 square foot, which is much more in line. And it limits some of our capabilities, but we, for everything in intents and purposes, still accomplish the mission. Or 3, do the CMGC as a potential alternative to get maximum guaranteed price with both. So board, that is presented tonight. Open for any questions.
I got some additional comments here. This is without a basement. And it's running over at 7,200 square feet. So I made the recommendation that we scale it down 1,000. Lower the elevation of the building. Same thing we're doing with the swimming pool. We're trying to save taxpayers dollars. And at the same time, I put the design company kind of on notice by letting them know that the previous design company, we sent them back to the drawing board before we even got to the design because of their design cost was over, extremely over. And at this last meeting that we had, I explained to them that, and that we decided to go with you guys because you came to us with a design cost that was close to our calculations. Okay, based upon 7,000 square feet. But now you're pushing numbers close to what the previous design company projected before we even got into the design phase. So without backing up and starting all over with somebody else, they know where we're coming from. And we talked about changing the finishings, some of those finer finishings, rather than like a composite roof. We can cut that cost by 1/3 almost, or maybe 2/5 by going with a metal roof, which lasts 30 years. Okay, so we're looking at alternatives, saving the taxpayers dollars, and we're not truly trying to go over budget on any of our projects. And so Christopher's on the admin design building committee. And so feel free to reach out to us anytime if you got questions. But that's all I got to include.
The other thing I would add is, yeah, with removing the basement, it took out the stairs, which drew down the square footage as well a little bit. But I had a question because we all have a number in our head. And so when was that number come up for budget purposes?
End of
The initial-
2024.
Okay.
Like the total cost of the admin project.
That's when I presented first.
Oh.
Yeah.
And maybe to answer the question unspoken is that with the construction cost escalation, that would have likely fit with this second option within our budget. I think it was about 10 to 12% for what it had assessed per year, assuming the 2026
That's kind of,
factor
basically-
for option 2.
That's basically what my question was, is what's happened between that time. I'll say as the committee, it seemed to be a consensus that option 3 was the way to go. We all like the idea of getting a guaranteed number, guaranteed max by a contractor. Guys and gals gonna be swinging the hammer. So that's what I'm in favor of.
I'd like to know exactly how that works. I've not dealt with that before, so, is there any way that we can get an idea of how we're gonna choose somebody and how do you get qualifications? Is it based on what the procurement says now? Is it gonna change when if you try to go to this type of situation? If you pick a contractor and the price comes back the same as what we're looking at now, are you able to not do it? Can you back out of it? Seems like there's a lot of variables. Seems to me like there's a lot of manipulative variables, doing it that way. But I'm not familiar with that, so, that's why I would like some expert advice on, I mean, if there's a contractor somewhere that we can talk to that's done that can explain to us how it works.
So what they explained to me was that the 7,200 square foot design, if we put that out there along with the 6,200 square foot design, give us your high and low. Low on the 6,200, okay, design with the different finishings that we asked. Okay, and then the high. Okay, because right now contractors are hungry, as they say. They know they're in that industry and they're hungry. So you would put it out locally, and of course we had to put it on that one website. I forget what it was called, but then they would give us their high and their low on both designs, and then we'd have a better idea of what the design cost would be with those contractors.
The only thing I'm worried about option 3, as it's been explained, is we will most likely pay more in design, but as we do that, we have less money for the physical construction of it. If we're going to remain, within budget, we're even within the budget plus inflation over the last couple of years. So that scares me a little bit because I don't want to pay for more design and less building. I'd rather just bite the bullet, get bids out for the contractor, build what we want, try to get down as cheap as possible within the scope of work, whether it's finishings or whatever. So I also this is just my fault. I'm not a contractor. I'm not a designer. This is out of my realm. But also the way we've been going about things is we want to build according to what's going to meet our needs, not just today, but potentially in the future. So realizing, if we save $600,000, let's see, on a reduced scope now, are we going to pay $5 million for that decision down the road?
Yeah, that's fair.
Correct.
So I think that's something we need to consider.
Yeah.
So
I think I want
reducing
your
those
input on
finer
that.
finishings on
Yeah.
both designs at 7,200 square feet and 6,200 square feet. Okay. Are you suggesting we move forward with 7,200 square feet? So we're planning for the future. Okay, and with the reduction of those finer finishes.
That's what I would suggest.
Which would be a tax savings. I think it was quoted
Responsible.
well over $600,000.
Responsible.
And that was before they got into their cost estimate.
Mhm.
So they might come back with a new number a little higher than that, hopefully nothing lower than that. But, so that's what you're looking for, move forward with the 7,200 square foot. And
I think it's
reduction of the finer finishes.
I think it's worth discussion.
I'll share a couple things as far as some of the conversation goes. As far as detailed, the step process, the feedback experience, this is going to be novel for us as well. It is not something I think we've experienced. We have done at least one design build, which is somewhat similar, but there are a little bit of differences in the CMGC, and we can kind of outline those steps, recalling that their goal was to have this decided and move forward and be able to do things within the first week of August. To provide back that detailed step to give more feedback and then get that confirmation would probably require a special meeting between now and sometime in the first week of August to just solidify that if we move forward. And at that point, we are expecting at least the design team to give us here is their typical, how this has worked for them. It's not necessarily a contractor. We might be able to reach out and see if there's contractors who had, general contractors who had experience to include that within a packet. If we could move forward with that, once we give more information. As far as the question about the 7,200 square foot, the 6,200, speaking still professionally, but obviously more individually as myself, President Axworthy and I talked a little bit about it. I think there's opportunities with that 7,200 square foot and that 600,000 or so, let's say, investment of it for that square footage allows it for both internal and external use and the potential in the future, if anything, if the district, let's say, starts growing faster, if there's things that change about how the district is oriented, incorporation in 5-10 years, anything that might significantly change the path we're on, that 7,200 square foot provides opportunity to adjust internally rather than have to build another facility, at least right away. There are obviously major things that could happen, such as the municipal court system, if you go in there in corporation where you're questioning and trying to figure things out. But I think it protects your investment for that now, for the foreseeable future. And so that's where personally I've been leaning towards, as if it is feasible within budget constraints to do it, it makes more sense because we're not likely going to get smaller in the future. We're only going to get larger. But that's just an opinion. As stated before, both options do serve the purpose. It's just a question of how long do they serve it and what will you have to do if you don't serve more of it now.
I stated earlier about the whole the joint maintenance facility situation. I mean, in a sense, you can see how neglecting that has put us in the situation that we are today. And we're trying to do stuff that also not only helps us today, but also helps us in the future, the community in the future. And I would say probably, I know we're trying to do what we can to our due diligence. And that's what we're doing, I think. And I would have to say the 72, just because of what we're having to deal with now with the facilities maintenance facilities. If we're looking towards the future, we got to look at that as well, those type of things. And if we're able to, or capable of something that can cost us more in the future, less now.
Yeah. Appreciate that. And the only other thing I think I failed to mention earlier is that a lot of the costs of it are coming from MEP or mechanical engineering and plumbing. That's going to exist regardless of how large the building is. And we've already talked about it. It doesn't mean that just because we're moving forward, or if the decision is to move forward with 7,200, that cost saving measures aren't still happening. There isn't looking at trying to reduce square footage, or I promise the finishing's not great. I'm pretty sure they put my office in the closet.
No, they did.
Those things are still happening regardless.
Good. It's my turn to be
Okay.
Brian Downer.
Uh-oh. No downer.
I understand. We like to plan for future. At least as individuals, we like to do that. My take is that government doesn't always have the luxury to do that. You can build 7,200 square feet and you'll fill it up. It won't be big enough. And you'll be looking at expansions on top of that. This whole thing was centered around discussion when we decided to purchase 63 Spalding around a building down in Walsenburg that was built for a certain amount of money, and it was a 5,000 square foot building, and that was the impetus and the argument, or the push for buying 63 Spalding and building a 5,000 square foot building. Government always expands. It doesn't ever get smaller. We're finding that out, and we continue to feed that obsession. Pueblo West is on a fixed income, folks. We are, what does our general fund bring in? $9 million a year in taxes. The rest of the money in that budget comes from water, wastewater income. I think we need to be more concerned about just meeting the needs today. The only way Pueblo West grows, we can grow population-wise, but our services aren't going to change unless we change the service plan. You know, right now we have fire, we have parks and rec, we don't have streets and roads anymore. We don't do that. So you may gain more population, but you're really, unless we change the service plan significantly, it's not going to change. The costs of growth are going to be burdened mostly by water and wastewater. So I think we need to, you know, this was where this started, was at a 5,000 square foot building. The 7,000 was proposed possibly, but we were also looking at 2.4 million in expense to do it, I think, or maybe three. So there's no limit to how much you can spend. We can figure out how to spend all that money and make it 7,000 square foot. I think it's our job to figure out how to do things better and at less cost. And it's hard work, but I think we need to do better, my opinion. I think we should scale it back. I think if we can't do 5,000, we don't do more than 6, and you make it work. That's where I'm at.
Discussion on that?
Now you can talk.
I'm with Bill. I think we need to build for today with the employees we have, +2. We're coming up to the 2027 budget. And we need to try to remain as on target and everything going into the future. He made the point that government's always expanding. I worked for the federal government 34 years. I agree. At the same time, it's our taxpayers' dollars here in our community that we live in, and we have to answer to them. So when they build a house, they don't always have the funds available to put those finest finishings in there. They have to make decisions and choices based upon their budget, and we should be doing the same thing. So, and that's,
agree with that.
so with that being said, do we make a motion to move forward with the bid build at 6,200 square feet and the reduction of finer finishes?
I think
Versus option 3 of the high-low option?
I think that's why I like the option 3. I mean, I'm sensing sort of a split in the board on this, which is, I think, a good option is 3, because it allows you to look at guaranteed max on both of those options and then truly decide at that point what makes the most sense. Because I think
I've never done it before, so I don't know. I can't speak whether that's a great.
according
way to go or not.
to Amy,
Yes.
according to Amy, there wouldn't be any change in our timeline. We'd still be able to get it out to bid
September, October, I believe,
September, like October.
for construction, I believe.
Yeah. So I think, and we might learn something.
Yeah, I mean, if you
For
guys
better
are the
or
ones
worse.
on the committee, I'm gonna defer mainly to you guys. I mean, I've said my piece, but.
And it's not gonna,
What's deal with it every day.
the only
But I
thing
would-
is,
What's the concern over if we went that route, what would be the concern over, I forget what word you used, but somebody fudging it?
I don't
Budget
know.
numbers or whatever.
You've limited the pool from, say, you're putting this project out to bid to 30 contractors or 15 contractors. Now you're down to 2. I don't know, or three. I don't know what the problems could be. That's why I would like to speak to somebody who's done that.
The only thing is trying to keep the timeline, I think, based upon doing number 3, they said they could come to us with the design and numbers with the reduced finishings on the building and the lower elevations and the lower square footage on each of those 2 designs.
We keep,
The first meeting of August, so we could make a decision early in August, so we could put it out.
we keep
For
coming back to
October.
reduce cost finishes. That's just part of your scope of work. So if that's what you want, say, I want mid-grade finishes on this building, and you put that in the scope of work that you send out to bid. Agreed. Don't
No,
say,
I agree
want
with that.
high-end stuff and I want,
I
satin-
agree with it. It's a
satin
new
finish,
process. They had to explain it. I asked them,
nickel
I think
finish.
twice.
Do we have to go with that contract? If we went option 3, would we have to go with the contractor? I don't remember. That question.
No,
I don't
think-
think so. I think it still has to go through the process of being approved by the
Gotcha.
board.
Okay.
The only thing I wanted to clarify is that, remember, we are dealing with opinions per cost. Doesn't necessarily mean that this is what the bids are going to come back as. What the
Right.
concern is that if we move forward with one above and it comes out as such, concern of we're over budget. If we reduce scope to what we think it is and it comes significantly under, then the question of could we have had within the budget the facilities and features we wanted? Option 3 at least gives you opportunity to check both and then make a decision then. I would consider some of the additional design costs, tens of thousands, maybe something less than the potential difference between the 2 actual projects. So
Okay.
you would want to be able to account
it's
for that in the
minimal.
budget. But at the idea of what you do through that process, it's saving you the money long run.
Did she allude to any additional cost, or was that supposed to be just
That-
assumed?
I am assuming that because you were essentially creating new work for them to be able to do and
Okay.
produce, so
She didn't
naturally it will
explicitly
cost.
say, but okay.
I don't think she explicitly
I
stated
should have
it.
assumed. All right.
And
Okay.
there was a
So,
comment,
I'll go ahead and make a motion. It sounds like we're leaning that way anyway. So I'll make a motion that we use option number 3, the CMGC model for the administrative building.
$6,200, 6,200 square feet.
And they're gonna do both.
That way, that's why there's additional costs or assumed additional costs.
And then we analyze both, I suppose.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Please keep us up to date as much as possible in that process, since it is new.
We will. I think we'll be calling you back.
Thank you. Next up, approval of the community pool schematic design presented by Christian. And Carol.
How you doing?
Hi, Carol.
Hello, board. How are you this evening? I am
Tired.
doing better.
Good.
It's better as each week goes on. It's only been 2 weeks, but it's better.
Wow,
I'm at least walking.
that's good.
I think Christian's going to start. Sorry about that.
Good evening again, board. Carol, thank you for being here. I just, again, this one actually has, when the motion was made, a request or requirement to come back to the board to approve schematic design before it moved forward. Similarly, we have the indoor pool, community pool project. It does have a schematic design attached as part of the packet. We have done a fair job of making sure that we also share some of the information with the community as we got some questions about it. And as part of the packet in this, as part of our presentation, as part of a video we even did, we clarified what it is that this pool is capable of, what it's not capable of, and the options being considered for potential addition if they either fall within a cost or can be considered as part of a final design. So I'll go very briefly since I know we've covered it. But we are talking about, this is about 11,000 square foot facility. It is a location, Assembly Drive and Aspenski Way, just north of the Walmart. It has one pool at about 6 lane, 25 yard setup. It is going to be able to, on design, Year-round aquatics, it's going to be indoor. It's intended to be able to provide amenities or support for all ages in multiple different areas. It will be able to support local competition, instruction and programming, training and safety, recreation and inclusion for that space to be able to be utilized. But at this time, limitations, this is not going to support elite competition features, not Olympic size. It's not going to be at the height to be able to support diving, more competitive diving at 1 meter, though there's questions and comment or options to consider for maybe smaller diving boards or at least the diving block, starting blocks. There's no separate leisure layouts, no specialized therapy spaces, even though it can be utilized for recreational activities such as in the workout versus being able to just use it as a space open pool. The temperature of the water is going to dictate a little bit of what it reasonably is going to be able to do. There's a specific document as part of that really goes into depth. Kurt and Carol prepared this, and I really appreciated it, about what it actually is capable of in its current design. What are those opportunities to add now or later, such as the anchors, the basketball and volleyball, potentially aquatic zip line, some things that are probably smaller, lower cost now, but at least either their structure or the features can be added at a later time. But some of the things it's not likely going to be able to do without significant cost. Obviously, a separate pool, an expansion of another type of pool. The depth, whether it's 7 foot or 9 foot, changing that depth would be very material and substantive in cost if you try to adjust it. The overall size, whether it's an Olympic size pool or not, those are things that I would consider as being off the table at this time or the foreseeable future without at least a lot of capital investment to modify. The overall design is intended to be an indoor recreational facility year-round that provides it's just slightly smaller than our outdoor pool at its current size. But obviously that would then be an indoor pool year-round to be able to be utilized. And it's meant to be a small footprint, barring a little bit from Vice President Vickers. I think as part of the packets, we have shared this one's opinion on probable cost is leagues different, I think, than the admin building one. But the concern is that what are those costs going to come back when we get there to actual bids coming back? So again, making the board aware that while there was a specific number thrown out, that one is public, the 6.2 million. The concern is that this project could, even as it has been reduced as much as possible, look for those cost savings measures, the cost of pools, the cost of design, especially again, MEP, the mechanical engineering, plumbing, likely are putting this project farther along, even so. So I'll defer to Carol in case there is anything I missed because I breezed through some of the things knowing that was part of the packet.
No, I think Christian hit it on the head. This is basically the design of the pool inside that is on the screen right now. There are fun amenities. There's stuff for everyone to do. We were able in this one to keep one party room, so there is that availability for rentals. And the committees worked really hard. We meet every 3 weeks, and we have every week we narrow it down even more. But the committees worked really hard to get the schematic design to the board to the best of our ability.
Yeah, I think we're at the point where we just need to move forward with it, realizing that the goal here was to keep it as cost effective as possible, bare bones. However, we're taking a facility, an outdoor facility that was used 2 to 3 months out of the year, and now it's going to be used 12.
Correct.
So I think in the end, we're already gaining, right? Even if it isn't as big as we had hoped, or have as many amenities as we had hoped originally. And I was right there with you, one of the Taj Mahal of aquatic centers. But in the end, you know, I think everybody worked hard, as you said, to put together a plan that we could afford moving forward. And if we get to, you know, if we double our population and we want to have an outdoor wave pool and charge the entirety of Pueblo to come and use it, then great. I'd love to have a wave pool, but we're not there yet. So,
Sterling's almost got that population of 13,000.
Yeah, I grew up with a wave pool in town. It was awesome. Yeah, I'm not on the committees, but I like what you guys have done, and I'm ready to move forward as is. I don't know if we want to include any
I got
of the amenities or the structural stuff.
the question that was presented earlier, since we're talking about the pool, about the
Yeah.
lightning.
Yes,
That's
all,
something I wouldn't even have
Thank you.
thought of, as far as.
the pool is grounded and it is
okay.
bonded.
Okay, got
It is a requirement. It
Oh,
is
yeah.
in code. All
Okay.
pools have to have
Alright.
that. So that is a
Apparently that
definite,
wasn't
and this
the thing.
pool will be booked.
Just wanted to make sure. that we
Absolutely.
caught that.
So if there's lightning, it's not mass evacuation.
I'm not gonna, say that. I'm just gonna say that, our lifeguards are certified
We gotta
Red
be
Cross, and there are, requirements for being certified that. And we follow, the National Lightning Safety Institute. We use that as our guideline. And, that is one of the requirements, whether it's indoor or outdoor. Whether it's bonded or not, you don't know that that's really going to, you don't know if it's gonna fail or not. You don't know that.
Safety first.
It is always safety first,
Amen.
especially when we have, 140, whatever the amount of people in the pool.
Yeah.
We are always safety first.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of programming in the pool, absolutely. But safety always is our number one goal.
That was the other reason why I'm not sure we need to expense with the additional structural planning, because I don't know what your opinion is on the programming already between community, potentially schools.
We have swim lessons,
aerobics.
yes, we want to make sure that, I think that some of the amenities, yes, we can, do now to provide for the future, maybe not by the actual amenity, but the anchors and stuff, just because we want to bring people in and we want people to come and enjoy it. Will all the amenities go at one time? Absolutely not.
Right.
So, but there is opportunity there.
So do you need a list of amenities? That would-
Explain what you're talking about with the anchors, Carol, so they
Oh,
understand.
I'm sorry. Like, let's go with the, oh, I'll just stand up and go over here, huh? Perfect. So
Zip line's good.
in this area is like a basketball hoop, so instead of actually putting in it, we could put anchors for when we do buy it later on in the future, we can always install it. The volleyball net that goes across, right here, putting the anchors in the bottom of the pool at the beginning, maybe not buying the net and everything, but it's there that in the future, in a year or so, when we do have the funding, yeah, we can grab that, but we can already have what we have in place is what we were talking about. The slides, this is a smaller slide, and then, the larger slide, zip line would be over here, cause you do have to go, not in the shallow end, you have to be in deeper water with that, and then the starting blocks, again, if it's 3.5 on this side, based on what depth we go here, they have to be at least at 4 foot deep. And then I just wanna highlight, that we didn't highlight here, was, this was, an ADA compliant ramp. It goes 0 depth, and it goes into the deep water, so wheelchairs, which there will be one on site, so people can use. But anybody with, disabilities, they can go in and just go in with railings on both sides to get in the pool. It's more efficient than a lift.
So who's on the pool committee?
I'm on the pool committee, Bill's on the pool committee. One thing that was discussed is, back in the day, almost every hotel had a diving board, right? But that's a low profile diving board, and, we don't have the ceiling height for any, diving board taller than that. But it's not in the scope of work in the design currently. So, we did the same thing with the aquatic center as we did with the admin building, reduction of finishes. elevation and height and width. We reduced it, I think it was 1,412 square feet or something like that. So we're doing our best with it to keep it as low as we can go. And we won't know what we're trying to get that out for bid, I think, by October also.
Yeah, if we're on,
Because historically, in October, you can put a bid out and everybody's hungry going into the new year, and their bidding comes in lower. Okay. Typically, so that way going into the new year, they already got a project on hand. Okay, so they're trying to secure projects going into the future. So at the same time, we're trying to recoup those cost savings on both these issues, the aquatic center and the admin design going into the future. So, but it all comes down to design and numbers. So
Okay.
that's what
So-
we're waiting for.
So you guys are on the committee. What is your recommendation in terms of the finishes? Do we need the structural additions?
What do you mean
Moving
structural
forward?
addition?
The
pool anchors, I
options,
think.
the
we know.
anchors
Yeah,
and such.
yeah,
So
that,
you're recommending that we do that?
yeah.
Okay. So can we get a motion to,
Before you go on, I just wanted to give the committee, everybody that's participated, some heads up or kudos on that, because we've reduced that pretty substantially from when we first started. And we worked hard at making it a nice amenity for the community. I'm excited it's gonna be in a 56-acre plot that we can grow other recreational things around it, fields, maybe even at some point a concession stand. There's a lot of stuff that could be done that I'm excited to see. I think it'll be a good addition to the community. We've worked really hard at getting the price down to where it's feasible. So thank you.
okay, so can I get them?
Oh.
We need a motion to approve the additional
you need to,
alternate inclusions.
Based on that, essentially, yes. We'd like a motion to be able to move forward with schematic design and the additional options as identified.
All right.
I make a motion to move forward with the schematic design and the additional improvements as suggested tonight at this meeting.
Okay, have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Carol.
And on that note, I've been holding it for far too long.
Okay, what do you want to do? All right, so up next we have public comments. Somebody want to say something? No?
Should I stand up?
Yeah, come up here to the table.
I've been taking some notes. I have not been here before, so I've been writing on a lot of things you're talking about tonight. I'm Kim Dillon. I wrote the pool letter. I'm at 1170 East Platteville Boulevard. Thank you for remembering my question, and I really want to thank Carol for all your work. We really need a pool, and I'm so excited. I voted for it every time. So, I probably have way more questions than you have time for. I'm just going to ask one. Where did the admin building piece come from? And I'm sorry I haven't kept up, but have you considered putting something in the fire station, which I know nothing about, whether that could be retrofitted for admin offices or not. But I would rather, as a taxpayer, fund a JMF than and or a combined building of everything so that it's done once and everybody has what they need, instead of let's build another building here. I already know, because running around this week trying to find the office, we're already piecemeal with things located all over town. So if we're trying to consolidate, maybe we can consider that.
No, you can't.
So, in regards to the admin building and Station 1 you're talking about, correct?
I don't know, Avenida del Oro, I'm gonna go look at it after this.
Oh, you're talking about that.
Like, is there an empty fire station
It's
somewhere?
it's the old fire station 2. It's 2 bays.
Okay, I don't
There's
know.
very little amenities there, but it's only
Okay.
accommodating, maybe a few vehicles at a time as far as maintenance. Okay, it's not a large area at all, but, in regards to consolidating and repurposing, are you talking about the admin portion of Fire Station 1?
I don't know enough about the background, first of all. I'm just throwing this out there because
Okay, so,
as a taxpayer, I would rather fund something that's gonna serve the entire metro district instead of let's build this here and then maybe we can build that there. But everybody seemed a lot more excited about fireworks and drone shows than the infrastructure that we probably need.
infrastructure's key because years ago, when this piece of property became available, they didn't really design and develop an infrastructure for government. That's why you see it all over the place. So that's what we're trying to do is centralize and reconstruct that government location. Okay, so like let's say Fire Station 1 that's right over here. Okay, we have a plan and a design in place that's going to build an additional building on the same piece of property rather than remodel the old building, which was not designed to have quarters in it. Okay. So there's going to be some of those offices over there that's going to be repurposed in addition to our new admin building when we move forward with it. Okay. We're all about repurposing things. That's why that old Station 2 was repurposed for maintenance. But in the interim, like Kevin Niles said, we got a plan for the future.
Right.
And I agree with that. Okay. But everything comes at a cost and everything doesn't come overnight. So just keep in mind, without having the full picture of what you're asking from us, we are actually working on.
Oh, I know. I can tell
Okay.
you are. There's a lot of thoughtful work going on, and that was a very full agenda. So I appreciate you listening to me tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your comments as well. I think we got excited about the fireworks. I don't think we got too excited. We are excited about trying to get this community developed in a proper manner. Again, it comes back to resources. I mean, that's something that's already been paid for, or something that we've already, that's been established in a sense. So, I mean, moving forward was easy. These are the discussions that have to be made. We all have our different opinions on this, on the board. There's 5 of them here.
We don't
Trying
always
to
agree.
line them up. I mean, we do work well together. As you can see, we don't always agree, but at the same time, I think it is everybody here wanting to develop something that's better for the community. And we are excited about that. The problem comes down to the funding, because we are a finite funded, we don't have all the money to do what we like to do. And again, we do try to do what we can to keep the taxpayer dollars being spent well. And any other questions you have, you can always, Christian has a lot of information, come to us and talk to us. And I'm telling you, we are excited at the future of the community. It's just how to move forward with the future of the community is where we get bogged down.
We're making great strides. As I mentioned, a lot of our time is spent with correcting things of the past. It was mind blowing to hear and understand how much money we could have had in terms of park infrastructure and fire safety implementation had we not been in charge of trying to maintain our roads when we weren't really designed to do that. I think you will all hear more information as that information is sent out by the Metro District. You'll hear everything that I'm sure that we've heard and formulate those opinions on your own. But to their point, I think just over the last 3 years, we've saved millions of dollars and through taxpayer initiatives like the Tabor timeout for the aquatic center. It didn't save the entire balance of what we needed for the aquatic center, not even close, but it did save some. So where it kind of kickstarted the project and started the conversations and got it moving forward. The 1% fire sales tax allowed us to build the fire station 2. It allowed it for newer equipment to be purchased so that we are in a better shape moving forward. There's issues with it being a temporary tax, which we are addressing. But otherwise, I think we're in a much better shape now than we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Things are getting done. We had a damaged admin building from a storm. And, there's a bunch of talk about what to do about it. Well, we've been leasing buildings for years. Now we're doing something about it and we're moving forward. So I think, I want to compliment this board and the last group of people I was on. We want to push things forward. That's absolutely our mission. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your work.
One more thing though, on the whole thing with all of these projects that we're doing. You've heard that the wheels of justice are slow. Okay, well, let me tell you, until you sit right here, I can tell you there's a lot of projects, they just kick the can down the road and never comes back up for discussion. But we are actually taking action on every one of them, and we're willing to take it head on, along with this administration. And the administration's fighting with us, for you guys, the residents of Pueblo West, the taxpayers. So, we got y'all's best interest at hand, and our own, because I live here too.
Sure. Thank you.
Director
Anyone else
Axworthy?
before we go?
Director Axworthy, we do have one online comment.
We do have one online
That was
comment.
received.
Thank you, Sam. Keep us on track.
Trying.
Do it.
This comment comes from Christine Evans. She
Thank
said,
you.
"Good evening, board members. I am a resident of Pueblo West in the Swallows area. I am very concerned about the traffic on Orchard Springs Drive and McCulloch Boulevard. That intersection is bad now. What is going to happen if and when this neighborhood is expanded with this housing project?" I should clarify, the title of this was a question to Lori Allen, so that's what this is directed at.
Okay.
With this housing project. Also, SEA is right across the street and the traffic during the school year is congested in the mornings and the afternoons. That is very close to the Joe Martinez stoplight. How is this traffic situation going to be safe for the children and the public? The left turnout of the area is bad most of the time. Also, the traffic will increase once the SCA preschool is built and occupied. Thank you, Christine Evans.
Understood. I've heard a lot of similar comments about the speed at which people drive through there. So it's more than one issue. Let's see. No more comments, but board member and district manager closing comments. Go around the room. Sure.
I don't think we did committee.
We don't do
We
that
don't do
anymore.
that.
We're not doing those anymore?
That's done at our work sessions.
Okay.
Do you want to go first?
Actually, I think we did agree that
You
if
could do-
during this part of it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
My mistake. So yeah, you can do it as your board member comment.
Okay. So at the PACOG meeting just last week, there was quite a bit to talk about. And that's the Pueblo Area Council of Governments. So with that being said, right now, we've gotten some rain recently and we got rain coming tonight. And it's gonna be going right over the burn scar. So with the rain and possibilities of flash flooding, they're worried about water quality, okay? With any of the soot from the fires and stuff like that, but Mother Nature does its thing. And so if anybody should experience any water quality issues, I'm sure it's gonna be picked up by our utilities, department first. And probably will be reported by Pueblo County, services, appropriately. The other thing is that when it comes to long-term planning, there's a new committee coming up. And I told Christian, our district manager, about it. It's called the RTA Steering Committee, and it includes big planning and big money for the future. And at the time during this meeting, they didn't really mention Pueblo West, but then I brought it up because we need to have some committee members on there. Okay, so now that we're aware of that happening, they are going to be looking at trying to get this committee together. It's going to be new. So if we got anybody out there that's interested in being on a committee like that, representing Pueblo West, and I gotta see what the qualifications would be for that committee. Just keep an open mind.
What does RTA stand for?
Road Transportation.
Transportation Association.
And, oh, the other thing is, so you've heard about the high-speed rail, right? So they're gonna build up to, Boulder or Greeley. Yeah, something like that. That's phase 1. Pueblo is actually included in phase 2, which is like four years on down the road from when they start the phase 1 of the high-speed rail. Okay, so you can go to paycog.com and they have a map of showing the different phases of that. Okay, and so unfortunately, if you're a taxpayer, they're probably going to include that as some type of additional tax to fund it. And there's not very much federal funds being allocated right now towards transportation. And so going into the future, just keep that in mind, that this high-speed rail comes at a cost, and Pueblo's currently in phase 2. of that.
Guaranteed to be over budget. Thank you. All right, Rodney. Go for it,
Nothing to report this time, thank you.
Okay. Chris?
I'm on Pedco. Pedco haven't recently they've been conflicting with the budget meetings, so I haven't been there. But it's been a while since I did an update. The CEO that was there stepped down, moved on. We have an interim CEO. So anyone that wants to take over that job, reach out to me or Pedco directly. That's it.
I have nothing.
Okay. And I am gonna say I have nothing. Christian?
I want to be incredibly brief. I do know that one of the concerns of government is sometimes that it grows without check. I think this and previous boards has been living proof of at least people taking the attempt. I will say that because I was, if you don't know, I was the public works director. And at one point I advocated for my job to go away as we transitioned back to Pueblo County. So I do want to share that this board, previous board, administration, our team is always looking at ways to be cost effective, reduce scope if it makes it better for the community. So we are open to that conversation.
You would have got a giant bonus.
Yeah.
No, we didn't
You guys trying to
implement
get that
that.
incentive? Trying to get that incentive?
I did not.
All right.
But I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so I would like to enter, you want to read it? You want me to?
I don't care.
Go for it.
All right.
Knock yourself out.
I'll make a motion to enter into executive session. 24-6-4024E, Colorado Revised Statute determining positions relative to matters for that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators. So we're going to be talking about a request for additional water resources and an inquiry about the lease of district land with phase 2 option to purchase, and determining a position and negotiation strategies relative to the Desert Hawk Golf Course intergovernmental agreement.
Right.
So
we have a motion on the table. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So we are in executive session. with a 5-minute recess. Thank you, everyone.